Apologize to everyone because of the technical difficulties, but here we go. Call this hearing of the Archaeological Review Committee of 24 July 2025 to order. May we have the roll call, please?
Member Eck,
Present.
Member Pierce,
Present.
Member Tree,
Present.
Member Bethel,
Present.
Member Wand. Chair Eck, you have a quorum.
Thank you. First item is approval of the agenda. Staff, is there any need to modify the agenda?
Yes, Chair Eck. In case number D 2025-010813-ARC Trauma Environmental Research and Consulting, agent for Claudia Horn. The agent or the applicant is actually the City of Santa Fe Parks and Open Space Division. So Claudia Horn's the architect, but she's not the applicant. And that is all.
All right. We jumped into one modification, minor. Item B, under new business. The name of the agent is misspelled. Chronicle, NZCLE. That was the only thing I noticed. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have one comment on the overall agenda. In several cases, for instance, B 10.8.11 and C 10.8.12, it mentions so many feet of trenching when in fact it is boring, if you look at the report. So we could do a little better about getting that straight in the agenda. Because that's the first thing I look at and how I triage, and I'm deciding what to lean towards. If for another reason, that would humor me at least. That's all I have.
Follow up on what he said. We recognize that trenching happens in the case of making ingress and egress pits to allow the thing to happen and to make other pits that are necessary along the course of the thing. But since it's being installed by boring, that should be the eminent word in the item on the agenda. Anybody else? Motion?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the agenda for the meeting of July 24th.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. We have no minutes. Therefore, we will skip item 4, move to matters from the floor. Anybody out there in the digital world or here in the physical world have anything to raise from the floor? Seeing no raised hands, we will move on. Consider old business. Case number 2025-120. Joshua Vallejos, applicant, requests approval for listing as an archaeologist for the River and Trails and Suburban Archaeological Review Districts, City of Santa Fe's list of approved archaeologists and historians. Thank you for your staff report. Paul, anything to add to this?
No, Chair. Thank you.
Should we have the applicant in?
Joshua,
Is there a member from Bar Engineering?
here we go. Please.
Yes, this is Evan Kay from Bar Engineering.
Hi, are you speaking on behalf of Joshua today?
At this time, yes.
Will you please raise your right hand and state your full name and address for the record?
Full name is Evan R. Kay. Home address is 9015 Opportunity Drive Northeast in Albuquerque, 87109.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
He has been sworn, Chair.
All right, Evan, we normally turn it over to the applicant at this point for additional information they feel is necessary beyond what's been provided in the application.
Josh had no additions to what was provided in the application.
Thank you. Then we'll hear from the committee members. Member Trees.
I guess I just have a question about report prep. Is that considered supervisor?
It can be,
Yeah,
but it need not be.
I have no other questions.
Member Pierce.
No questions. I do appreciate the use of the new template for the chart of experience. I think very unique. So thank you for doing that. That's all I have.
Number one.
And
Thank you. Member Bechtel.
I have a question about someone else representing this person that we've never met, that we're somehow affirming that they're an archaeologist of good standing, and it's a bit odd to me that I'm approving this person or potentially approving this person as an archaeologist and they're not represented, or there's no affidavit, or there's no something that says Evan K is representing this person just because they work for the same firm, because doesn't this go with the person, not the firm?
You're correct. It goes with the person.
And so I'm comfortable with this situation, but I don't know if that's in any way valid procedure or whatever this is. I mean, and when I represent cases in front of the H board, I have to go to great lengths to get a signature from my client that says, indeed, this person can represent me. So it just seems very odd.
Mr. K, did you provide any correspondence to the fact that you'll be representing this gentleman?
Josh did not give me anything other than asking me to attend and represent him.
Well, like Member Bechtel points out, there is a need
Mhm.
for authorization if you're acting on behalf of another entity or person. And so we will have to postpone this case. It's my recommendation that we do that.
Director Lamboy, Chair Eck, members of the ARC, Mr. Vallejos reached out to me and said that he would be on vacation. And so I asked him to have a member present from his firm to be here to represent him. I've seen the Archaeological Review Committee do that before. As long as somebody is representing their co-worker. So I seen that was feasible for this application. And if I misstep, that's my misunderstanding.
You guys maybe can refresh my memory. Have we ever approved an applicant without any representation, just based on what they're submitting?
No.
We usually bump them.
Well, I think in an abundance of caution, it would be best if we had Mr. Vallejos actually present himself next time.
Okay.
Understandable. Thank you.
Mr. K, will this present any hardship for your firm in the interim till the next meeting?
I do not believe so, but I also believe that Matt Lant from Bar Engineering is here via phone. He might be able to answer that question better, but I know he is permitted in Santa Fe as well.
That's the key. So you're not going to be standing on the sidelines. You have someone else who can respond.
Yes, and Matt has sent me a text saying all good until next meeting.
Perfect.
Good, great.
Thank you.
So, in order to put this to rest, we need a motion to postpone till the next meeting, and we need to know the next meeting date,
The next meeting date is August 28th.
August 28th.
Mr. Chair, in case 10-120, sorry. Mr. Vale's application, I Move we postpone consideration to the next meeting of August 20th.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Evan, for being here. We'll get it next time.
Thank you very much.
New business. Case number 2025-817. Just for the record, note that I'm leaving out all the leading numbers in these things. And if that's not correct, I need somebody to tell me that, but the leading digits seem to never change, so therefore I just been ignoring them for several years. I will continue to do so until instructed otherwise. Wonderstone LLC, agent for the City of Santa Fe Parks and Open Space Division, applicant requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for the Shelby Street Footbridge project in the historic downtown archaeological review district. We have a staff report, Paul. Thank you, sir. Anything to add to the items you've already noted?
No, Chair, thank you.
We have Nicole comments.
Tarek,
No.
my committee,
Will you-
hello. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Will you please raise your right hand and state your name and address for the record?
Yes, Nicole Ramirez Thomas, PO Box 8337, South Lake Tahoe, California 96158.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. She has been sworn.
All right, Nicole, we'll turn this over to you in just a second. But first, I wanted to ask, have you seen the substance of the staff report?
I have not seen the substance of the staff report. That was not shared with me.
All right, there's a few recommendations at the end, and if you wish, we could read them into the record so that you hear them and you know that they're presented.
Okay.
Staff recommendation. Number one. We need the construction and design plans identifying the new dimensions of the bridge, types of ground disturbance, including length, width, and depth. And I would add et cetera. Two, please clarify the code citation, which was given as 14-3.13, paren B, close paren, paren 9, close paren, paren 4, close paren. And lastly, item 3. Currently, the plan needs some additional information, editing, and revision. And perhaps we'll understand the totality of the additional information, editing, and revision as we go forward.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Chair Eck, for letting me know what staff's comments were. So this, I don't know if you all saw the newspaper article that came out about the Shelby Street Bridge, but this has been a project of some urgency. And for that reason, I came before the board for matters from the floor last hearing, just to kind of present and put on your radar that this project is occurring. I believe Amanda provided you with a little map, a little site plan map of where the staging area will be and the construction, which is approximately 500 square feet total for the whole APE. And then there's going to be 2 areas that will be 3 feet of trenching that will go from the so there's utilities that are under the bridge and those utilities will be placed in a trench and connected to, on the south side, the nearest electric, which is right by a light that's right there. And then there's 2 water boxes on the north side for the sprinkler system. And so the trenching will run from about 3 feet behind the bridge abutment. And the length of the trench will be 3 feet, and the depth is anticipated to be 3 feet. So the thresholds for meeting the ordinance, everything is under, but we recognize that this is a National Register site that the work is occurring in. And so the recommendation is to monitor any removal of rock from the wall, and then also to monitor the trenching, even though it's minimal, and then the footings for the bridge. The construction design has not been decided on yet. We had to go to the H board at the beginning of the month, and that was the first step in kind of determining what the construction plans would look like. But we just don't have those yet. And it'll be a prefab bridge, and the footings should actually be pretty minimal as well, but I don't have dimensions for those currently.
All right.
So, and then in terms of the code citation, I was really unclear, and I did ask for more substantive comment from staff when they brought this up. I'm not sure what their question is. Maybe I just put the wrong citation number in there. And if so, then that wasn't said.
All right, thank you. I must confess, I didn't go look up the citation, so I'm in the dark. If it's a typo, I'm in the dark. If it's real, I'm in the dark. And if it's relevant, I'm in the dark. So,
So what is the issue, Mr. Duran?
Currently that code citation does not exist. So I asked them to clarify that code citation because 14-3.13B1 D would be the correct code citation. And that's for in the historic downtown archaeological review district for alterations if the ground is dug, upgraded, or otherwise disturbed. So there's several code citations that would meet this: demolition of historic or landmark structures, 14-3.14, 14-2.7 archaeological review committee. In accordance with this section, the ARC has the review of cultural remains and they have the purview over them. There's several code citations, but for that 13-3.B9 doesn't exist. So I asked about a week ago, I reached out to the applicant sharing the same concerns. The director was on that, the assistant land use director, manager, staff was on it. And I shared with the applicant these considerations, and she declined any of staff's help. And so
that's actually that's not true. Actually, I asked for more substantive comment, such as something like this code citation doesn't exist. There's obviously a typo, and that would be helpful. And in which case I apologize for that. And also I wasn't aware that staff was making recommendations on their staff reports. So does that happen across the board for all applicants? Or does the staff frequently defer to the archaeological review committee?
that makes sense.
Because in staff reports that I've seen recently, there hasn't been any recommendation from staff.
specific recommendations are normally unusual, but the general recommendation, which is usually conveyed in the form of a final paragraph, is always present. And yes, it often defers to the committee or their discretion, either affirming or denying. But we have had specific recommendations before.
Okay.
They are usual.
Then I would like to just verbally make this correction then. In the past, with archaeological monitoring, it's considered a form of treatment. And so this would be under 14-3.13 C4 D.
Okay, I don't have that in front of me, so we'll have to have staff tell us what that refers to.
Chair Act, members of the committee, Nicole, can you share that code citation again? That wasn't very clear. I apologize.
14-3.13 C D treatment.
Okay, unfortunately, the audio is cutting out on almost every enunciation of the separate parts of the citation. So let's take it one more time from the top, section by section.
Okay, so 14-3.13 C D, and that's treatment for the for historic downtown archaeological review district. And that usually, in my experience, has been the code used for archaeological monitoring. And I apologize for the miscitation.
Have you found it?
Nicole, you said D3?
No,
D.
C and D, but.
D. Treatment. Right, and that's another code citation you could use.
so I want to go back just a minute and talk a little bit about why we brought this forward. So we had about 4 days to prepare this because we needed to get it in on time for staff to be able to review it and such. Now, we realized that the construction plans are not set for this. And like I said, that's because we have some conditions that have to be met by the Archaeological Review Committee, for the Historic Districts Review Board for the design of the bridge, and that's going to determine what the span of the bridge is. Now, the instruction from the HDRB is to have like the lightest touch possible so that there's very little disturbance to the Civilian Conservation Corps construction along the riverbanks. And so I believe that the footings will be much behind the riverbank and that they should be pretty small. The dimensions of the bridge we know are going to be, they were approved for 6 feet in width and the railing at a 42-inch height. And that is what I showed you the last time. The concern with coming forward now is that, on occasion there isn't a quorum. And we didn't want to run into a situation where construction has to start because the completion of this project is tied to some legislative funding. And if it's not completed by the time the legislature meets in January, then the city runs into a little bit of trouble. So completely understand if it needs to be postponed to next month for more information, but with that diagram that I provided today, I tried to show you where the ground disturbance area would be, and anything that's ground disturbance, such as the trenching and the location of the footings, will be monitored, as well as any rock that's removed from the walls.
Correct. Members of the ARC, on Tuesday at the July 22nd HDRB hearing, Madam Chair Rios requested a subcommittee be established for the design of this bridge. Madam Chair Rios asked member Scott Cherry to be on that committee, and they made a subcommittee for the design and implementation of this bridge. There was some public concern about the way that this bridge was being moved forward. So before any construction takes place, the board has to review and approve a design acceptable by the chair.
I'm sorry, it's not the board that would review it. I'm sorry, Mr. Duran, but it would be the subcommittee that would work with the applicant to determine if the design meets what the board's motion was. So this won't go back to H board unless there's substantial issues with it, and that's not anticipated.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Nicole.
so we're hoping that within the next month, actually within the next month, there has to be a construction plan designed. And again, bringing it forward this month was just kind of hedging, I guess, a little bit in case there's not a quorum for the August meeting. And that's why it's coming before you today.
Okay. Committee. Questions, observations, opinions, concerns, whatever. Member Beck.
Item number 3, currently the plan needs some additional information. Editing and revision, can you tell us what that is, please?
Chair Act, member Bechtel, if you look on the second page, there's errors, there's an appendix that's not in the plan, there's just information in here that is incomplete and incorrect. Generally, when we ask a plan, it should be in its completed form. And this plan currently looks like
that stuff.
well, the appendix isn't in there. So it should be in the table of context, but the error bookmark is not defined. So there's just some small minor details that need to be flushed out.
Okay.
And
Staff reached out and asked that we can work through this. And
Okay.
but there was things like that.
And I, as the applicant, asked for specifics on what it was that needed to be changed and didn't receive a response. I know I saw that there were some mistakes when I remade the PDF. And then in terms of the appendix, that's a placeholder for when we do have the construction drawings. Assuming, we will present those to staff to include with the staff report. So the additional information, there was a request for more information on that, and there was no response. And yes, I'm certain that there's some typos because, as mentioned, timeline has been breakneck. So.
Thank you. Anything else, Stephen? Member Wands.
So, I have 2 questions that maybe don't necessarily apply to the ARC, but what's the funding source? Full funding source, and does this need a 404 permit?
So the funding source is right now $250,000 of Senate appropriation for the design. And then the rest of the actual demolition construction will be paid for by the city of Santa Fe. There is, so this appropriation came in 2023, I believe, but the funds weren't released until January. And then I guess it was June, the city manager was informed that this bridge had to get done, built before the next legislative session. And I don't know that I'm at liberty to really talk about it more than that. And then Member Wands, your second question was, will you remind me?
Are you gonna need a 404 permit?
No 404 permit is required for this. And the engineer checked on that. And then we also made sure that SHPO didn't require any review of this either. But in part, the bridge is being updated because it doesn't meet 100-year flood standards.
Right, so. Even though it's state funding in the National Register. Doesn't. get
Um,
reviewed.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Even though it's state funding within a National Register. It doesn't need to be reviewed by HPD.
No, I contacted Gretchen Brock and Stephen Moffson, and they
Oh.
replied and said because the Shelby Street Bridge is not part of that National Register nomination, it's excluded as non-contributing, that no review is required.
Right, so my other questions are. Kind of less about the bridge and more about the walls that are part. Of the National Register.
Hmm. Yeah.
How are they dismantling it? Like, I know it's a mechanical and hands.
So the lightest touch is to be applied again per the directive of the H board who's looking at the design. And so the current bridge has a rock abutment that was put in at the time that the bridge was constructed. The initial construction was 1968. There's some thought that maybe this bridge was reconstructed maybe sometime in the 80s. But there's nothing to it was really hard to track down information on that. So we know that the stone abutment that is associated with the construction of this bridge will be removed. But the intention is to not touch the adjacent stone that was part of the CCC construction for the river walls. And that's why the abutments are going to be like extended out and behind, or the footings for the bridge are going to be extended out and behind the river walls. And then the weight of the bridge is a consideration because real stone is required for the bridge facing. And so what the footings look like will depend on what the weight is calculated to be.
Okay, and then when you make corrections, do you have a copy of John Murphy's PICB?
I do.
To be able to, because it's not in Memphis, so I'm not looking for that to just.
I do.
Look at.
Yeah, I can provide it to staff who I think has it on file, and they can share it with the ARC, or I can talk to Mr. Murphy, or maybe both, about putting it into NMCRIS. It is a good little history about the bridge.
And then my other comments were just to clarify, so none of that is state parks. Cause I was really confused.
It's very confusing. So the River Park there's like a joint powers agreement between the city and the state, and it's state land. And so things like the historic markers that they put in, and some other things, they're allowed to do that as owners of that water park area. And it used to be an actual state park, and then it was decommissioned. I believe it was in the 1970s. So the city has an agreement to maintain the park. So that's why they replace the bridges and deal with some of the other infrastructure, watering, and some other things that happen along that river park that extends now all the way down past Camino O'Leary. And that was something that was established in the 1990s. And these things were pretty hard to track down, and it was really complicated. So, yeah.
And the other suggestion is if you could add stuff, I may have missed it, but you should probably add that in the vicinity of and or adjacent to SR 1931.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me interject a follow-up here because you touched on something that I've been observing for 27 years. The state land office has been maintaining that part of the park for 27 years. Is there a joint powers agreement between the city of Santa Fe and the state land office?
No, I think it has more to do with the water and like usage of the water and then installation of the infrastructure for it. And that's probably about all that I know. I mean, we asked Ed V. Hill, who works for the city and understands the real estate and easements and things like that. And he also didn't have very much information. The state and state parks didn't have very much information. John Murphy did a great job trying to dive into all of those things. And we see that there's like a river plan that was established between the city, the county, because parts of the river go into the county, and the state regarding how things are maintained. But we didn't find like an MOU or anything like that. So it's just very complicated.
Thank you for that, and that reminds me of something else. And since we haven't seen Mr. Murphy's documentation, I'm gonna ask a question that may be answered in that. Who repaired the damage to the wall when the unfortunate driver went blasting down Shelby at about 90 miles an hour and didn't quite make it over the river?
There was no discussion about that, and I didn't see anything about that in the NR form either.
Okay, I can actually see evidence of the damage on your little diagram, because the stones are displaced and have not been put back where they belong. They were sort of band-aided up there the day or two after the incident. I won't call it an accident. And it's looked pretty much like crap ever since. So, while we're maintaining things, it'd be nice to maintain that part of the wall.
Okay.
Now I'll move on. Member Pierce?
Okay, thank you. I have several comments, but first, Nicole, I wanted to revisit what you said about funding for the project.
Mm-hmm.
If I heard you right, you said that, the state portion was for design only. And then the city was for removal and replacement.
That is correct.
So I guess I don't understand the rush then, because the funding would only run out if the design is not complete by January, not the construction.
Heather, can you help me here?
I'm sorry, I was distracted. What was the question?
I just don't know how far I'm allowed to go in talking about the funding challenge that's associated with this bridge.
Yeah, my question was, if the state is only doing the design, then why is there a January deadline to complete construction when construction is not being paid by the state?
So as the city's planning and land use is not part of and does not have a copy of what the financials are associated with this project, I could not answer that question.
Okay.
There was some discussion in the newspaper article that came out from Regina Wheeler.
All right, thank you. So the first comment I had made for myself was that there was no mention of where equipment was going to be staged, or, you know, what kind of heavy equipment is going to be used. And then just a moment ago, they handed us this sort of uncaptioned diagram, you know, with your project area and a proposed staging area. Staging on the, you know, the asphalt parking lot makes a lot of sense, but I'm still concerned about that 20 or 30 feet between there and the bridge. I mean, this is a steel substructure, right? But it has to be removed. You're not gonna carry that out by hand. So what kind of heavy equipment is gonna be used within this project area? And how are you gonna mitigate the surface damage of all those Caterpillar tracks?
So they're going to put down metal plates for the tractor that they'll put through. I don't know what size of tractor it is. I did talk to the contractor today. And he did mention that they're going to put down metal plates. That can be added to the ground disturbance to monitor, any of the work that happens within the APE. I think that the Parks and Open Space Division is open to any of that. So we can add that.
That would be good information to have, yeah,
Okay.
because I'm more concerned about the damage around the bridge than I am to the bridge, obviously, even the footing of the bridge, so. All right, couple of other things. What was this one? This is in your project description on page 4.
Uh-huh.
And it is the last sentence in that section, project description. Once a more complete demolition and construction plan is completed, the information will be provided to the ARC. What does that mean? Does that mean we're going to see a plan after the fact?
No, it means that in advance of, so again, because this timeline has been so pushed, and because there's special design considerations that have to be made for the bridge, the exact drawings for construction have not been determined. And as soon as they are, which really again needs to happen within the next month, probably 3 weeks, those would be provided to the ARC for any review and comment. Or, yeah.
And just a couple of, sorry. My tablet is misbehaving. Give me just one moment.
There we go. Just so you know, Nicole, 2 of our members are digitally enabled and the other 3 of us are looking at paper.
I'm an in-between person.
So my final comments come right at the end of your report, which is on page 17, the unanticipated discovery section and then curation. The sentence that reads, Wonderstone LLC will adhere to prescribed methods and techniques. What does that mean? What prescribed techniques? I think you either need to cite a regulation that specifies those methods or explain them in narrative form. Just saying that you'll follow accepted protocol doesn't really cut it because there is no formal accepted protocol. It's designed case by case.
Yes, and I do have a written amount with the citation, the NUMAC citation. So, okay.
And really, these are cookie cutter sections that get used over and over again in every monitor report. So, anytime you invest here, you can use it again. So I would encourage you to flesh these sections out.
Yes.
And then finally, on the curation part, the last sentence, the final report will be distributed to the client, the city, NMHPD, as required by law. Well, 2 comments there. What law? And second, when are we going to see it? Most proponents provide a timeline for producing the report.
Okay.
I think that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Derek. Number 3.
So in your, in the handout we just received about staging and trenching and etc. Going back, the water is irrigation water, is that correct? It's not supply for actual building water or people water, it's to throw on the ground, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So running that under the new bridge is not an issue with freezing or anything, but how deep are you going to make that trench, or how deep will that trench be on the water side, and that same thing on the electrical side?
In speaking to the contractor, he said a depth of 3 feet for each of those trenches. I feel like the water has to go 4 feet. But I think that we need to verify that. And then the reason that they want to bury the electrical and the water is because those lines have been vandalized, being exposed the way that they are now. But so that just so you know why they're doing the trenching and not just running things under the bridge again.
Yeah, well, that's one reason why I asked. If it's irrigation water, it doesn't have to be that deep, because it'll be drained out. That's my understanding of irrigation anyway. Because if you run it under the bridge, yeah, it'll just freeze. The electrical, is typically at least 3 feet deep.
Mhm.
And are they gonna hand dig that? They're not gonna use a little mini track or anything? Do you know that yet, or no?
In speaking to the contractor this afternoon, they plan to do a little, like, sounded like a ditch witch kind of trench, and the trench is going to be a little bit of a U shape behind the wall, so it'll have like a bend to it.
Uh-huh. Are there, where the electrical is there already electrical nearby I mean, it just seems a little strange to me that there's just this little, 12-foot, 15-foot, maybe 20-foot long trench for electrical. I'm not quite following what that's for.
Yeah, so the trench will actually only be 3 feet long, and it'll be 3 feet deep. And I believe that there is an electrical box there for the lights on that side of the river with the river path.
Okay.
But I think, we could modify the scope of work to say any trenching, regardless of its length, even though we anticipate that these are the things will be monitored. We can also say that too.
I guess my last question is, because we don't have a design, why is it possible to just apply for a demo permit? Or do you have to have demo and new construction? I'm asking the chair, by the way, Nicole.
And Nicole, I honestly don't know what the answer is, but I'll tell you what I think the answer should be. And the answer should be that nobody should demo anything until the ARC has had a chance to review and approve whatever is associated with said demo that involves ground disturbance.
Yeah.
Said this many times in many ways, and that's about as short as I can make.
Yes, Charek, and that is 100% why last month I wanted to bring this before you guys to start discussing.
I'm still at a loss. Because we don't have a design. We don't know anything about what's going back. How are we approving anything, I guess?
We don't need to approve anything. You can feel free to make a motion to kick the can down the road as far as you think it needs to be kicked. But we're trying to get information here.
Yeah.
Heather. Thank you, Chair Eck. If this committee is not comfortable proceeding as it is now, you don't have a design because the H board asked for changes, and there's a subcommittee assigned, and they will review the changes. No new plans have been submitted as of today. So right now, since that's having a big bearing on what's going on here, I think it is prudent for the committee to postpone until which time we can get everything right.
Yeah, it just feels like there's too few details and too much conjecture in this as presented.
I mean, I think we all understand up to a point, the urgency, but that urgency should really kind of dictate where we're going with this either.
Cause we don't know where it's going.
And there was concern at by the community at the H board meeting regarding the design. That's why there was a lot of discussion at that meeting. And I read the newspaper article. I hadn't done that before. And, that's why I guess it showed up in the newspaper because of the funding issue. But on the other hand, the city can find the money if we don't have the funding. We'll find other resources if we just need to do what's right.
Sorry, Heather, I want to clarify that the funding isn't for the bridge, that the state may hold back, it's for other things. And so the city is paying for the bridge. The state paid for the design with the Senate appropriations. This request, like that is a part of their capital outlay money and maybe some other money. And that the discussion about the legislature is larger than just this bridge. And I think that that's what the article kind of leans on. So just to
It's
clarify.
unfair to hold one bridge captive for a lot of other things that don't have anything to do with this project.
Yeah.
It
And
also seems like HDRB might make subsequent recommendations that would change the scope as it was presented now, so this may not be the final scope, even as vague as it is.
I mean,
It
to
could
be
change.
fair, it's mostly design. They do have the dimensions of the bridge and, it's the design and the character of the bridge. But, having said that, it could, where it attaches could change. So, that if you're looking at it from the impact on the ground, that definitely could change.
yeah, and we don't know exactly where the footings are going to be.
Yes. Okay. Member Trees, anything else?
That's it. Okay.
I just have one thing to add. Or to ask. And it has to do with your section on page 15 for personnel and schedule. Forgive me if I don't remember, but I've slept since then. Is James Gallison permitted in the downtown historic district?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
He
he
was permitted last month.
Last month?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Want to make a motion?
But that motion is gonna be to postpone, so I'm curious whether it should be postponed to a date certain, or whether the applicant would just like to withdraw to have a little more flexibility.
I think that our preference is that we were looking for either a conditional approval or a postponement. And I think that we would, prepare to the best extent possible to submit for August, assuming that there will be an ARC hearing, and then that would be how we would proceed. So,
Thank you. In that case, Mr. Chair, I would like to move that we postpone consideration of case 811 ARC until the August 28th meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Nicole. Hang in there.
thank you guys. Thank you for the discussion.
Next is case number 2025-811. Chronicle Heritage, agent for Public Service Company in New Mexico, applicant requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for 0.11 acres of ground disturbance and 1,186 linear feet of trenching and boring for electrical service lines at 1600 St. Michael's Drive in the Suburban Archaeological Review District. We have a staff report. The author of said report is not here at the moment to say whether anything needs to be added. Does other staff know?
Nothing to be added, Chair.
Okay. Then we have a representative of Chronicle Heritage.
If you're representing Chronicle Heritage, please raise your hand. Hi. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thatcher Seltzer Rogers, 10505 Hackamore Place Southwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87121.
Thank you, Thatcher. Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in regards to this item is the truth, the whole truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Chair. He has been sworn.
Thank you. Thatcher, the floor is yours. Anything we need to know besides what's in this document?
Not to my knowledge. I welcome comments from the committee.
Member Pierce.
Just a couple of positive comments. Report is really well done. I especially like the fact that you not only say how many poll boxes are gonna be, but where. So often we just get a vague statement that there will be poll boxes somewhere along. This is specific. This is what I like. So thank you.
Number one.
I second member Pierce's comment, and then I just have to give you a hard time because, on page 27, Courtney doesn't have you.
I am so sorry. That I will find it for you.
I would.
My apologies. I've been
No,
trying to catch that recently.
Maybe in Nimford that way.
Yeah, that's if it makes you feel any better. OCA is misspelled in Nimcris for everyone. I will get that fixed.
I'm
I'm
just
sorry.
giving you a hard time.
No, it's okay.
Member Trees.
I only have a question as to why the report is titled 1600 St. Michael's Drive when it's on the checkout. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That is the project name that was given to us by the client, by PNM.
You didn't ask.
We did ask. I asked that specifically. And that is what.
Because I was expecting to see something on St. Michael's.
Yes.
Whoa, no, it's not even close to St. Michael's.
Yeah, those are a couple times.
Yes, I specifically asked him, and that is the contractual name of the project.
I also have a question about just, and this might be to the rest of the members and maybe staff. Why is it up to the discretion of the applicant to include or not include PNM's drawings, engineered drawings?
Well, geez, if they're available, we'd certainly like to see them. But only if they're legible and intelligible. If it's what we often get, there's no point, because we can't read it and it's not explained, and it often includes 27 other things that are not relevant to the project in question, unless one has the overall Santa Fe engineering concerns of PNM in mind.
Yeah.
Therefore, sometimes we get them and sometimes we don't. And if they gave them to you, yeah.
I'm
It'd
just
be nice
wondering
if
because
we could see
you know,
them.
to me, it's like, that's what I like to see.
Yeah.
You guys like to see stuff and I like to see stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that here it is, but we have had reports. I agree, we'll have some tonight that don't have the engineer drawing, and I really appreciate seeing those.
Thank you.
Because it makes sense to me, like Member Pierce says, there's the pull boxes. Well, yay.
These particular drawings are quite legible.
Yes,
Informative.
they are exceptional.
That's all I.
Member Beck.
I have no comments.
Two things, and both relate to historic trails. Page 20. Oh, excuse me. It's your page 30, it's back at page 36. You've got a section on USGS topo map and geolo survey fact review.
Mhm.
The last paragraph mentions that the National Park Service puts the El Camino Real de Tierra Adentro 2.03 kilometers east of the project area.
Mhm.
The Santa Fe Trail is.
Okay.
But that portion of El Camino Real, sometimes known as the Chihuahua Trail, sometimes known as option Z sub 3 of the Camino de los Carros, which connects downtown Santa Fe via the Galisteo route to just vicinity of the interstate. And then it wanders off to the south and west. That passes very close to your project area. And if you look at the Park Service map, it passes basically right through St. Francis due east of the south end of your project. But since I said there were two, the other half of this. Your page 40, back at page 46, figure 5.9, the 1960 historical aerial with the project area indicated. That prominent road is the accepted alignment of Galisteo. And if you look along it, there are places where you can see lineations that are probably related to the historic use of this part of El Camino Real. And there's a permutation on this that may be recent, it may be historic, but it goes right through your project area in two places. It passes right by the cluster of buildings, intersects the north leg of the project about a third of the way along, and then it intersects the west leg of the project about in its midpoint. And it goes to the same place. I'm not prepared to say that that is an alternate route of El Camino, the Chihuahua Trail, or Galisteo Road, but it's possible. So I think your statement about keeping your eyes out for such things is very appropriate, because it may be right in your project area as opposed to just nearby.
Oh.
And that is all. Are you ready for a motion? We are ready for it.
Mr. Chair, I move that in case 2025 10-8-11 ARC Chronicle Heritage for PNM, we approve the applicant's monitoring plan. That's another one.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Thatcher.
Thank you, Chair.
Next, case number 2025-812. Sierra Right-of-Way agent for Public Service Company in New Mexico, applicant requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for 2,595 square feet of ground disturbance and 865 linear feet of extension for electrical service lines at Camino Piñones and Old Pecos Trail on the River and Trails Archaeological Review District. We have a staff report. Paul, anything to add to that?
No, Chair Eck, thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Antonio, identify yourself, address.
Antonio DeCunzo, 4725 Galleta Road Northwest, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87120.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in regards to this item is the truth, the whole truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
I thank you. He has been sworn, Chair.
Antonio, you have the floor. Anything you want to add to this?
Not really, pretty straightforward, I'm putting in some subsurface electrical conduit, 263.7 meters, rivers and trails district. I did apparently hear first sentence of the environmental setting. I misstated the project's location in relation to the plaza. It is not 1.6 miles southwest. It's actually 1.7 miles southeast. My apologies for the typo. Other than that, like I said, pretty straightforward. We're gonna put in the line, some additional infrastructure with it, a pole box, a distribution pole, remove some existing infrastructure on design plans were provided and relatively legible, I thought, for once. Nearby sites include a couple of stretches of the Santa Fe Trail, a couple of park sites that are artifact scatters with features, and then due to the sites, the previous trail locations, I did pull the GIS file that the city maintains of the trail segments, and you can see that there are nearby trail segments to the east, and that one segment that's particularly close does show up reasonably well, I think, on the one aerial that I provided. Yeah, and we will of course survey everything before we get out there and dig, and we'll move forward as such.
To be fair, on the aerial photo as rendered, granted my eyesight's failing, but I can't see any elements on there. But on the actual aerial photo, I trust that you can. So, Emily. Member Beck,
No comments.
number one,
No comments.
number two.
Yeah, just a couple of comments on project description. I'll start with the first paragraph of your introduction. There's some very nice detail about what sort of infrastructure they put in place, the number of pole pits, the number of transformers, all that. But then on your figure 2, your project area map, that's not quite as helpful. Those yellow dots, right? It's not very clear what they are. And also it's confusing to me that some of them are so far off the line. So what are
That is a good question that I'm not entirely clear on, but all of those dots were, our GIS staff had generated from the plans provided by PNM. So something may have gotten slightly lost in translation there. So it looks like that northern one is what is that? Install wildlife. I'm not entirely clear what they are, but it is my understanding that they are part of the project, and all ground disturbance in those areas will be monitored.
Well, that was my leading to. If there is disturbance away from the actual alignment, make sure that that's monitored too. And it may not be done at the same time.
Yes.
Right. So. And then I had one other comment, which I'll try and find quickly, but it's mixed in with the author's comments, so it's a little hard to find. Let me see here.
While you're searching, let me follow up on that. I think I can explain the yellow dots that don't seem to make sense. On the plan, there's an indication of something that's going to be abandoned.
Yeah.
And then there's a location on that line that is one of those yellow dots.
Yes.
So if they're gonna dig a hole to abandon something, or if it's just a stray.
I did find my final one, and it's just an editorial thing. This is on page 23, on the section for monitoring methods. The third line of that paragraph talks about the path of distance. I think that is supposed to be path of disturbance.
That is, yes.
Yeah. That's all I have. Thank you.
Member Trees?
On the engineer drawings, PNM says they're going to install 1,410 feet of 2-inch borable HD PE conduit and 1,410 feet of cable. In the beginning, we're talking about 800 and some feet of cable. And I think maybe that, just speculating here, but maybe it's the total disturbed area of 800 and so, rather than 800 and so feet of cable. So that would be something that I would say needs to be clarified either in the summary or.
Yeah, so the descriptions that I provide are the descriptions of the path of boring. The actual footage of cable varies because if this is a loop line where I believe they run one line out and then they run one line back. And they may not be doing that for the entire distance, which is why it's 1410 and not double of 865.
Yeah,
But cable may-
your introduction does say 862 feet of new subsurface electrical line. So, you know, maybe it just needs to, because it's more than that. And maybe that sentence just needs to be clarified that that's the total somehow of the disturbed area that they're doing for their 1410 linear feet of. I don't know, you know, maybe I'm nitpicky, but cable is cable. And if I'm bidding this job and I'm off by 900 feet, somebody's gonna pay.
And it's not gonna be you.
Well, hopefully not.
I can bring my P&M bill and tell you paying.
That's all. That's all I have.
I don't have anything to add. The fact that I can't read the aerial photo is all I really have. So. We will maintain the motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that in case 2025 10-8-12 ARC, Sierra right away agent for PNM, that we approve their archaeological monitoring plan for Camino Peña and Old Pecos Trail, with request to clean up some of the language, the discrepancy between the length of the board and it.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Case number 2025813. Chama Environmental Research and Consulting, agent for Claudia Horn. Doing on with going to be part of the city of Santa Fe, et cetera, as specified earlier. Plus approval of an archaeological reconnaissance report for 40 acres of ground disturbance at Swan Park in the suburban archaeological review district. Staff report, Paul, thank you. Anything to add?
No, Chair, thank you.
All right. Representatives from Environmental, if both of you are going to speak, you'll both have to be identified and sworn.
I can speak and she can.
And I can make comments to her that she can make
So
to you.
why don't you guys just go ahead and, both state your name and addresses and we'll swear you both in at the same time, okay?
Okay.
Brenda Belletti, 829 West Manhattan, Santa Fe.
Veronica Bashevsky, 149 Calle Ojo Feliz, Santa Fe.
Okay, please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony that you are gonna give in reference to this item is the truth, the whole truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
Yeah.
Thank you, both have been sworn.
All right, so is there anything you need to add to the document as submitted?
I guess I would just add that the design is at the schematic phase at this point, 30%. So, that's why there's not more detail about exactly where everything's gonna go. It's one part.
Okay. Member, please.
So when you say the design, we're talking the design of the park and access roads. Was there any idea how long that would take for it to be done?
They are working on it now. Lisa, who is here, had to leave, but she has more information because she's directly involved with the planning component. So it's parks and open space, and then the design office is, doing a phase 2 master plan. But I think by the end of the year, they want to have a pretty firm plan together. I also would like to add that, we did consider with them trying to avoid that archaeological site, and they looked at all their different options, and they came to the conclusion that, those soccer fields were a very important component of the park that they didn't want to let go of or couldn't, and we couldn't really find a good way to avoid that. Even if we tried to squeeze it in outside, there's gonna be foot traffic around the soccer fields, and so we felt like it was the most conservative approach to just, mitigate that.
You know, these big sites without construction going on, is kind of not my field. So I turn it over to the archaeologist at that point.
For Pierce.
No concerns with the survey or the report really, but I do have a question. There it is. In your introduction, first paragraph. It's like the third to last sentence. Says that funding is still being pursued for the project, but will likely be completed with funding from the state of New Mexico and the U.S. Department of Interior's Land and Water Conservation Fund. Which means that should that funding actually come available, all of a sudden this is a section 106 undertaking, and we are essentially preempted. So while we certainly can render our opinion on this report, I'm not sure it does you any good. Because eventually this is gonna wind up at state agency under section 106 consultation. So
Yeah,
that's all an observation only, but
Yeah.
I mean, you may be before the wrong board. Or maybe taking unnecessary step, because I have a feeling it's gonna be taken away from us.
Given the current state of affairs, we don't know.
But I mean, it may be immaterial because I had no complaints about the report or the survey and I'm approving it. I'm not sure that it helps you as much as you might hope.
Yeah, I know that they want to, get through that process by the end of the year. I think even before they identify all the construction funding. So I think they wanted to go through as is, under this design phase and do the mitigation.
But it certainly doesn't hurt. That's all.
Number one.
My only big comment really was, can you upload the LA forms to Recruit?
Oh, I thought I did.
The one I checked wasn't,
Maybe I didn't hit submit.
You
Yes,
don't need
we'll
to-
double
you don't
check.
need to hit
Okay, apologies.
and then I think it makes sense to excavate the site, given the fact that you have houses sitting on top of where other eligible or potentially eligible sites were. Yeah. Those make sense.
Just a little. Member Beckman?
The only comment I can offer is the mitigation is similar to a demolition in a historic building, I suppose, that it's, if you can't avoid it, then you do what you can to record it, go down the road. So. Seems appropriate.
Okay. Niggling little things.
Oh, we did find a
We
typo.
found a typo.
Oh. Well, feel free to correct your typo. Those people who find their own typos and tell us about them get gold stuff. But just fix it.
Okay.
And then if there's anything else that needs to be fixed after we get through all of this. Other reasons to play with it. Not that you have to change it for this document, but for these illustrations of the project area on pages 6, 7. Actually,
All of them, okay,
yeah. These
that's
project
a
areas,
printout from NIMCRES. So we didn't make those maps, they're just part of the NIAF.
okay.
I think our maps were not like that we made.
If that is
Yeah. you can
what
see
you're
it.
faced with, I sympathize. I strongly encourage the capture of GIS data from your screen, allowable by the new arms, so that you can actually put this stuff with symbology that allows you to read things on your own base map. It just helps because half of what I'm gonna say relates to the fact that you can't see the aerial photo on the map.
So you're saying there is a way in NIMCRES to change the symbology there?
You can.
So capture it, digitize it.
Stating.
Oh, yeah,
But
our
it's
map,
staff doesn't put it on.
yeah, that's what we did. So in our report, we did extract that.
Okay.
Yeah, he's right though, that those maps are auto-generated by the system. There was nothing I could do with them
Oh,
other than delete them.
about in the.
In the NIAF, that,
NIAF
that
form,
there's a
yeah,
draft
in the
draft.
NIAF, right.
So, yes, great, I'm sorry. This has to do with LA 54785. Which is a suite of alignments thought to be representative of various permutations of Camino de los Caos.
Mhm.
I felt moved to look at Hanford's report. I couldn't find site forms or site maps related to Hanford's report, so I couldn't get into any details without visiting ARMS. But the map in Hanford's report clearly illustrates an alignment that is part of what he called alignment C, or LA 54785C, that goes through your project area. And if you don't see his map, you don't realize that what he's talking about is much greater than the two little things that are digitized in ARMS. So what you say on page 30 of your report, top of the page, the end of that paragraph. The fourth polygon is a large circle plotted within the current project area. It is assumed that this location was recorded by Hanford prior to the availability of GPS and is an imprecise location. If the fourth segment still exists, it is likely located east of the current project area. No. Hanford's report says that alignment D is northwest of your project area and goes up out of the Camino de los, out of Arroyo de los Chamizos toward the golf course. Fourth segment D is outside your project area. The fourth polygon is a misnomer because that big circle that is rendered in ARMS as the fourth representation of LA 54705 is actually LA 54761. And if you look at the ARMS map, you can see that there's big kidney bean that if you took its largest dimension and created a circle, it would give you that. So it's mislabeled. The site is actually there. 54785 is just not mapped in ARMS. It only appears on Hanford's map. When last visited, it was said to be in good condition, so, it may be buried under a two-track road now,
Mhm.
so y'all didn't see it, but it's there. It's in the project there. And of course, of chasing this down through your references cited, I noticed that Hannaford is not in alphabetical order. It fits between the G's. So it's there, but it's lost. Your map that shows these sites, that large circle that has a little flag pointer 54785 is exactly the data rendered in ARMS, but it's not right. It's 54761. The alignment that appears on Hanford's map, that is that iteration of 54785. In addition to the three little things you see way off at the northeast end of your project area, which are also parts of 54785C,
Mhm.
from about where the east end of that circle falls near the boundary of your project area, southwest for some distance, there is an additional alignment of the trace that he documented that is in your project area. All that just to say that you can sometimes get bit by what you see.
Yeah. Yeah, we tried to piece that together with the previous data and then I guess
Fact, here is a copy of his figure 1, and you can see the alignment. And you can see that the kidney bean is labeled 54761. And I would never ever have noticed this except for the fact that one of these other submissions deals with same site.
I know you were just talking about it in the last.
Once you go down a rabbit hole, there's no
When
escape.
you started talking about it, I was like, I really hope we got that right. Okay.
so
I
that's
should
really
be-
close to that dam. Correct? You know, because there's a,
No idea. I've not been there.
so there's been a dam created across the Arroyo that really destroyed a lot of stuff in that general area.
Okay, that could explain the fact that y'all couldn't see it.
And like you said, we did see a lot of dirt tracks. There's a lot of off-roading there, there's roads, and we looked at all of the roads, we measured them to see, you know, we looked for artifacts. And they very well could be pieces of that, but at this point, it's, we were unable to tell in the field.
Chances of you finding artifacts are almost zero because A,
They collected them.
B, everybody picks everything up, and C, OAS picked everything up along their alignments. It was part of their survey. So they erased the artifact scatter as it presented itself to them at the time of documentation. So I have no idea what's buried in the records, what the site forms might say, if there's detail maps showing these alignments and the occurrence of anything in actual arms, not digital arms. But it would be worth looking at.
Mr. Chair, I would add that this is a bit of a weird situation. Usually people claim that the dots that are in their project area are actually outside of it. This is the reverse. Looks like LA 54761, even though it's depicted as outside your project area, may be in it, correct?
That site is in it, and so is 54785.
So if we accept that to be likely, then I would recommend a site update form for LA 54761. Even if all it is to say that we think it used to be here and now has been destroyed, that's still a site update.
Okay.
I would probably request that.
And the same for this segment of 54785. The site update could make it clear that was here, it's supposed to be here, we can't see it, and that all this construction happened, and there's a million reasons why it's not obvious anymore, and
Yeah.
that way, we put a coda on the record.
Okay.
That is all.
And what is it? That's just called updating the record, basically.
Yes, because sites disappear all the time, because in spite of our best efforts, people erase them. And when we go back to look for them, it's helpful to have something that says, on this date, yea, verily, we, naming the people involved, looked, and it's not there anymore. Because, and that's helpful, because then the next person doesn't have to do it
Go
again,
look. Right.
and again, and again. So,
Yeah.
So we can't protect them. Because we're not wearing little orange vests and standing out there by every one of them saying, stop. They get erased all the time, sometimes by official action. Sometimes by malfeasance. Sometimes just, they go away. So that is all.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yes.
Then I think I am going, in case 2025, 10-813 ARC, Chama Environmental for, I now understand the city of Santa Fe, not Claudia Horn. That we provisionally approve this report, with the understanding that you will submit updated type forms that requested to the city.
And upload them.
And update
Yes.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
Next. Case number 2025814. Stantec Consulting Inc., agent for Public Service Company in New Mexico, applicant requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for 90 square feet of ground disturbance and 2,300 linear feet of trenching for electrical service lines at Tatum Lane and River and Trails Archaeological Review District. Thank you for your staff report, Paul. Anything to add?
And no, Chair, thank you.
All right. Stephen Yost.
I don't, are you here for, 2025-010814? Please raise your hand. See nobody, Chair Eck?
Chair, Mr. Yost called, so I'm just gonna call him and see if he's on speaker. He called earlier.
Having difficulties?
Hello, Mr. Yost,
Can I get on?
are you able to get on to the, ARC meeting? Are you?
The whole thing, but apparently you can't see me.
No,
Okay,
sir.
well,
What's your number? What, are you iPhone 16 Pro?
Correct.
Okay. Here we go. You may speak. Thank you.
Please unmute your phone, sir.
Excuse me?
You're good. You'll have to identify yourself and give your name and address and be sworn in.
Okay. Steve, can you hear me?
Yes.
Stephen Yost. My address is 6134 4th Street, apartment 89, Los Ranchos, 87107.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Chair. He has been sworn.
All right, Stephen, you have the floor. Do you need to add anything to what we've got?
No, I don't believe so.
All right, thank you. Hey, member one.
Okay, I had a question on your page 48. That this is the draft monitoring plan.
Actually, I could only hear the words monitoring plan. I couldn't hear the rest of what you said.
Oh, sorry. It's a draft monitoring plan.
No, it should be. It is the final submittal at this point.
Second line. Very much. Non-enforceable notes. Oh, because you're on private property, in terms of the artifacts, that would be up to the property owner.
Yes.
So, right now it says that you'll coordinate with PNM and Santa Fe RFC. I may have just want to add the property owner.
Yes. That.
I think that was it.
All right, member Beckman,
I have no comment.
member Trees. This is one where I would want to have seen engineered drawings, but I have a question about a description. You say these 5 concrete pads or splice boxes. I'm not sure what that means exactly, if it's a pulley box or if I just don't know what that means. And I question why those are 3.5 feet deep, but the boring is 48 inches deep. So there's a half a foot difference between the boring and the depth of these slice boxes.
Understood.
Not a big deal, I don't know.
I would need to get additional clarification from PNM because the depths are their data.
Yeah. I don't know. The new infrastructure, is that supposed to be these boxes? Do you know or not?
Yes. Yes.
So I think these triangles is a 3.5 foot deep.
Yeah. Yes, it should be.
Okay. Yeah. Did they give you engineered drawings or?
No.
Or they did not give them to you?
No. What was sent over to us was simply the GIS.
Okay.
Which admittedly is the same thing when I was with TRC. That was all they were sending over.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I got. I would have preferred a little more detail, that's all. And the Pierce? No comments from you.
I appreciate the statement that you'll do standard survey and look at all that bare dirt first before things proceed.
You've broken up. I can't hear you.
I appreciate the statement to the effect that you're going to survey first and look at all that bare dirt.
Yes.
Did you hear that? Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
Reason being that if you walk slowly and shed your gaze well to left and right of your alignment, you may very well find other trace alignments of the Santa Fe Trail passing through your project area. Given that there are two documented alignments flanking your project area.
Yeah.
And knowing something about the landform, I think it's likely you're going to see others. If you
Yes.
do, that will be wonderful. If you don't, that's good to know as well.
That it's indeed possible, and that will be something to which people are paying attention, and it will happen before any construction. For what it's worth, I have written a couple of training protocols for DoD for recording trails, and if I'm not out, if I end up not being the person out at the time, I will sit down and make sure people have thorough training.
Excellent. And I also appreciate your statement to the effect that if you're not physically present, somebody else who's permitted in Santa
Yes.
Fe will be.
Yes, and that you're welcome. That is intentional. I candidly have no problem with this being on the record. I've been treated for years for an autoimmune disorder. It's not quite under control at the moment, so they're hitting me heavily with immunosuppressants. So if this happens soon, I will send out a different qualified person, excuse me, who is on the list.
Thank you. We can have a motion.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chair, I move that in case 2025 1084 ARC Stantec Consulting for PNM, that we approve the archaeological monitoring plan for electrical service lines at Tatum Lane. As submitted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, no problem. It's been an
Case number
exercise in listening.
816, Statistical Research Incorporated.
I think
Oh, sorry. Got a paragraph problem here. Case number 2025815, SWCA, agent for Tierra Contenta Corporation, applicant requests approval of a data recovery plan for 223 acres of development for Tierra Contenta Phase 3A development in the Suburban Archaeological Review District. Thank you for the staff report. Paul, anything to add?
No, Chair.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Robin, will you please raise your right hand and state your name and address for the record?
Yes, Robin Cordero, and the address is 7770 Jefferson Street Northeast, Suite 410, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87109.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you, Chair. It's been sworn.
Welcome, Robin. Anything you need to add to your submittal?
No, I think I'll just take comments as they come.
All right. And let's start with member trees.
I don't have anything to add or ask. Seems like a big site. Got a lot of work to do. That's about it.
Member Pierce.
Yeah, few comments or clarifications anyway. Robin, first on page 1-1, your introduction. The second to last paragraph, last sentence. The remaining sites, LA so-and-so, were recommended eligible. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong line. Actually, it's the first line of that paragraph. The sites were noted during the survey as having the appearance of being previously mitigated. What does that mean, the appearance of? Is there no record?
Yes, that's exactly it. Several of the sites that we visited had clear evidence of being mechanically scraped. And many of these, let me rephrase that. At least two, if not three of the sites had evidence of being mechanically scraped. And another two or three sites appeared to have been completely picked over and devoid of artifacts. So we were able to match up the locations of the site based on the maps that were in NIMCRIS, but there were no artifacts there.
And it may not be possible to tell, but do you think it's a professional work or middle of the night?
You know,
sort of thing?
in at least one of the circumstances, let me pull up the site number. In at least one of the circumstances, I believe it was. Gosh. Actually, I have NIMCRIS open. I can tell you. It was, I believe it was site 547 62. There was a stain in the drainage, a large stain that OAS had identified, or I guess the Lab of Anthro had identified as a possible pit structure, and there was a piece of groundstone next to it. That whole area had been very clearly mechanically excavated right where the stain would have been. I can't envision anybody being able to go in there with a mechanical excavator and know exactly where to put that thing, unless it was an archaeologist who had seen the site before.
So there's been a strong probability that there is an investigation floating out there somewhere, not written up or not submitted or out in the ether.
I agree. And I've talked about this with some of the city staff, with Nicole, with Tierra Contenta. We've tried tracking down evidence of this, and we haven't been able to locate anything definitive yet. So.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. The next comment is on page 4-1. Last paragraph of your research design. The first sentence of that paragraph, after the comma reads, and for the majority of the sites, the anticipated construction impacts are rather minimal. Could have used some elaboration there. What do you mean by rather minimal?
In this case, most of the sites, or those sites, are going to be avoided via direct impacts.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. On page 6-2, the second paragraph, second to last line, there's a reference to Santa Fe black on white rather than Santa Fe. You lost the A in Santa Fe.
Gotcha.
And then on 6-4, your figure 6-1, this is the site plan map. There's what was my issue? Oh, there's an unfortunate reference to a test trench, which is really a test unit that's 2x1. Because when I saw trench, I thought, backhoe. And I don't think that's what you intend here.
Well, hand trench, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Before we leave that figure, floating right next to that is something called the Pacheco land grant. I think it should read Pacheco. it's wrong in the legend as well. Go ahead.
Next item on page 6-6. This is, under previous investigations and site description. Second paragraph on the page where you're talking about first the scatter of flake stone and then the charcoal lenses extending it over an area of 500 feet by 187 feet, give or take. That's an awfully big charcoal lens. I think you meant to say that the scatter was that large, but the way I read it anyway was that was a very, very large charcoal lens. And I don't think that's accurate.
Yes, I will shift around those measurements to a much better
Okay,
location.
On page 6-8, your figure 6-3, the site plan map. You call for 3 test units, but only 2 are on the map. I suspect that's because one is right over the feature and you didn't want to cover the feature.
That's correct.
With the test. However, somewhere else in 612, you do that with a, an outline rather than a solid square, and it works perfectly well. So I would recommend doing what you did in 612, which is to show the test unit over the feature to make it obvious.
Thank you for that clarification. I will.
And on page, starting on 6-11, previous investigations and site description. There are a lot of built environment features here. I mean, they're just foundations and things like that. But this is an area where some historical aerial photos would have come in really handy. Maybe you could have seen some of these features expand in some of the photos. Meaning before they were stripped down to the pads.
I believe we did provide those photos in the survey report. I could check again. And that's one of the reasons why I chose not to in this report. I stripped out a lot of the extraneous material and mainly focused on the portions that were contributing to the eligibility and that were going to be impacted.
Okay, fair enough. As long as it's examined somewhere. Oh, and finally, on your page 6-26, the section on proposed mitigation measures. I swear somewhere early in the report, I read something about signage, but it doesn't appear here as a mitigation measure. So are they in fact doing signage, and is that part of the mitigation plan for this site? Or
I'm gonna defer that to my colleague behind you, Jennifer Jenkins. I don't know if we have determined that yet.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Jennifer Jenkins, 130 Grant Avenue, Santa Fe.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm the testimony you have in regards to this item is the truth, the whole truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening. So we have had some very high level discussions about where there might be opportunities for any interpretive signage, but we have to really drill down on that relative to the trail network. And we really want to avoid, creating additional unnecessary disturbance of the landscape by building something unnecessary to get somebody somewhere. And so it's really under consideration right now, but we don't have any final decisions. But it's about minimizing disturbance and focusing the activities on the designated trails.
Okay, fair enough, thank you. And then Robin, just one last comment. This is actually on page 6-26. Very last.
Did you say 626?
Yes, 626.
Okay.
Under proposed mitigation measures again. The last sentence, you talk about 3D drone mapping. And say that the digital files will be provided to the city and to ARMS. How you present that matters. Don't give us some obscure proprietary software file that nobody can open. Right? It needs to be in a format that is persistent and people can read without specialized software.
Understood.
For instance, not accept LiDAR data because of its size, but also because of the requirement to have software to view it. So, you know, if that's the case with the software you're using, then some sort of map or some sort of image output would be better than raw files. Does that make sense?
Understood. Would you like me to have that specified in in this treatment plan?
No, I don't think it's necessary to revise the treatment plan. Just be aware that what you submit to ARMS should be in a format that's widely usable, right? It is intended
Understood.
for everybody else, not just as a storage for, you know, files that may not be able to open in 10 years.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 1.
So. Pretty much all my comments kind of go together. First on 4.1, I know that you said, your investigations are designed not to create more impacts to the sites and would result from the construction itself. The majority of the site, the anticipated construction impacts are rather minimal. So as Member Pierce said, probably should expound on that because honestly, we don't know what impacts to the sites are intended. And then that kind of goes to my point, the next point I was gonna make. I realize you don't want to impact the sites a lot, but the testing on some of these sites seems really, really limited given the size of the sites.
On a couple of the sites that we are doing testing, they're primarily the ones where there is remnant traces of artifacts on the site, but they've otherwise appear to have been treated. And I think a case in point is 54765. That's the large site that's in the south, kind of the southern part of the project. We're mainly focusing our testing in areas where the artifacts are occurring. So I think that's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, given the fact that you have this huge swath that you think was surface collected, you may want to just stick a couple of test units in there and see if there are any subsurface deposits in there, you know, if it's a stabilized land surface, then those missing artifacts from the surface don't necessarily tell you.
I see exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you on that. So let me I'll make that change and add in a couple test units in that area.
I think that was my really big part, and then I think one thing I wanted to ask is me just not. You want to go ahead and come back to me?
I don't have any big comments. I did appreciate being able to sort of follow the bouncing ball and figure out what you were doing. I appreciated that, so thank you. Non-archaeology 5%. Like, this is the address, here's the map.
Back to number 1.
Okay, on LA 54765, the feature feature one
Yes.
testing. So. Nothing. If after the excavation and profiling of feature one, evidence suggests that feature two reflects nothing more than a laterally extensive buried soil, so I assume that means a non-cultural buried soil?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify again, feature one and feature two, when we recorded them in the field, we thought they looked more like natural kind of stratigraphic soil staining, a buried A horizon. We did not think it looked cultural. So.
Thank you.
Right. I've just been noticing that label of the Pacheco land grant is occurring on
Everything.
lots of the figures, so that would be something to devote attention to. Both in the figure label and in the legend of each case. And to follow up on number one's comment about testing some of these areas that have either been surface collected or otherwise disturbed by prior unexplained activities. Across the board, it would be kind of nice to actually look in those places, not just on that site, but on the other sites. Just to make sure, because you never know, and somebody could have come along and picked up stuff, stuck in a test unit and said, there's nothing here, and just like the old poster that shows the dinosaur, who knows what's actually down there? So let's look, please. Then back to my rabbit hole. LA 54785. Having looked into the record and seen what Hannaford had to say about versions A, B, C, and D, I really got lost as soon as I started reading your discussion here, because they're not the same. A, B, C. D is the same, but A, B, and C are not. They've been sort of renumbered. And I thought, okay, I'll just look up the HCPI numbers and figure it out. Can't do that because they don't appear anywhere that I can see, either in your figures or in ours. So, just so you know, what you have referred to, for instance, figure 6-15, what you have referred to as LA 54785B is actually A, as described by Hannaford. What you describe as C is actually B, as described by Hannaford. And what you describe as A is actually C. And that would explain the paragraph on page 621, the second paragraph of the previous site visit, where you talk about what Hannaford was talking about and saying that segment C forms the north edge of the project area. Well, indeed it does, except not on your map. Your C is on the opposite side of the project area, the southeast corner. So please sort that out and get all the right numbers and the right prices, and somehow get the HCPI numbers associated with shapes that are located on the map in arms. And I apologize for the fact that we reviewed the survey report and approved it without noticing that discrepancy, because that discrepancy occurs somewhere in the middle of that report. When what was a simple A, B, and C became a different A, B, and C, and hence your confusion when this report gets put together, this plan. The mix-up had already occurred, so let's sort it out, please.
Understood, and I will resubmit this, or I guess I should say I will supply the ARC with a revised copy of this that corrects that back to Hannaford's IDs. And I will make sure the HCPIs are correct in NIMCRIS.
You can change them. There's no reason to slavishly stay with Hannaford. You just need to make it clear that you have deviated from Hannaford, and A is not B is not C. But in the new world order, it is. So however you want to fix it, just fix it. And yes, if you can provide city staff with that, that'd be wonderful.
Will do.
That's all. We could have a motion.
Well, given the issues with the figures and the request for additional test units, Mr. Chair, in case, I've lost my place. In case 2025 10-815 ARC SWCA for TRTM, Tierra Contenta Corp. I move that we conditionally accept the report, subject to the applicant providing a revised copy to City HPD to incorporate these changes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. I appreciate all your comments.
Next case. I hope I'm on the right paragraph. 2025-816, Statistical Research Incorporated, agent for Public Service Company in New Mexico. Applicant requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for the installation of 1,553 feet of subsurface electrical services lines for the Caja del Oro Phase 1 subdivision distribution backbone extension project in the Rivers and Trails Archaeological Review District. Thank you for your staff report, Paul. Anything to add?
No, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Is Mr. Unruh present?
Mr. Unruh, please unmute yourself if you are present, or raise your hand. See no one, Chair.
All right.
Again, David. I have a phone number here of 1509. Is that you, David? Chair, I suppose we can request to put that at the end of the agenda.
He unmuted, or did you unmute him?
I did.
Oh.
David?
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is the 509 phone. This is Matt Land with Bar Engineering.
Oh, but not David.
Okay.
Sorry, Matt. Wrong David.
Okay, do you want to try to track Mr. Unruh down and we'll move on to the next, change the agenda?
You can just table it if you want to the end of the agenda.
No. So, someone want
Mr. Chair, I move that we table case 2025 10-816 statistical research for PNM to the end of this agenda.
I second that.
Moving second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'll learn how to talk.
You ran out of M&Ms. That's the problem.
Okay, Ron,
So case number 2025818, Ron Winters, agent for Rosemary Powell, applicant, requests approval of a 2.1 acre archaeological inventory report for the proposed lot line adjustment and consolidation at 1329 and 1341 Canyon Road in the River and Trails Archaeological Review District. Thank you for the staff report. Paul, anything to add?
no changes, Chair.
Paul's not here, sorry.
She
Ron,
answers the
name and address.
State your name and address for the record.
Ron Winters, 109 Calle Paula, Santa Fe, New Mexico, 87505.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm the testimony you have in reference to this item is the truth, the whole truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you, sir. And sworn.
Okay, what do you need to add, Ron?
Well, first, I'll not make the mistake of submitting the last day.
And get to the end of the.
Yeah. No, that's okay. A couple things. First of all, I mean, I know this property very well. Both my sons attended Gentle Nudge preschool. And I have to say, since it posed as a preschool, there's a lot more growth that is heavily overgrown, especially on the northern end of the property. So visibility wasn't great. I do want to let the committee know that I did submit a request to the county for additional title information. I have not received back, and I can certainly supply it to the, to staff if we want to get that. Another thing, it was interesting to see the acequia again. After seeing my kids play in it when they were younger. And it has suffered even more. And the culvert that actually probably goes underneath that road is not visible at either end. So I can't even determine condition. I can see a little evidence of it in the roadway, just the top of it. So that's the way I drew it. But I want you to know that I was out there last week with the land surveyor and pin flag the route, so they would get it documented accurately. And they were the landowner was in agreement to do a cultural properties preservation easement, which I was happy to see, their enthusiasm and help with making that happen. And even in Snow's 88 report, it was, I think, more visible than it is now. But it was certainly the rock wall, rock line wall that supported the SAGA is visible. Some places better than others. Another thing I want to say is, if and when the report is approved and any corrections that are made, it will be uploaded to Newcrest. And last, I wanted to say that.
I feel like every time I look for something in there, I'm like.
Oh, yeah. And last, I wanted to say that I know I found one artifact that is not in the photo because it's not historic, but I know that it wasn't one of my children's objects because they did not become archaeologists.
Oh.
But I'll return this to the site, but it was fun to find. Anyway.
No initials carved on the handle.
No, but it is old,
Definitely not an archaeologist, you didn't carve it.
Yeah, right. No, mine's at the end, and I didn't see, I know it wasn't my kids. They wouldn't have been digging into it like I do.
All right, member Beckwith,
No comment,
member Watts,
no comment.
member Pierce.
Well, after making Ron wait 2.5 hours, I feel like I ought to say something, but no comment.
Member Tree.
I found a description while you were talking about the glass that you found. And I think it was a misspelling. You had agua glass and instead of aqua glass on page 41 is what I found. I'm not looking for it on page 41 now.
41.
But it says agua. It was probably because later on you mentioned it as aqua.
So is it, if it's found on Agua,
Yeah.
is it Agua glass?
Yeah. Blue. And maybe I just can't tell, do these plats actually show the Asokia or not?
I did it in red, but I'll show you, what the original plat, where you'll see the acequia shown is on my page 42 in red. The segment.
Oh, I see, okay. I didn't know whether these arrows were referring to
That's
as well.
the historic map showing it. And here it is here, and it turns, and then it comes up here. And it's the acequia de los Lopez.
Okay.
I just want to show it in, on a historic map. What page was that, Crash? It was down
41, I think it is.
Just tell spell check to look for agua and make decisions accordingly.
I got it.
But then you might change all agua fria to.
Well,
aqua.
accordingly, don't just say,
Bubble change.
but don't ever trust AI. Remember, Trish, you said it.
That was it. Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Then I have nothing to add except thank you. Well done. And I'm glad you're amenable to putting an easement on.
Yes, well, after past histories, it went very well.
And so that's a process. It needs documentation and it's a physical thing. It has to be presented to those people.
Right.
So that it's part of the record.
And is it included on the plat document?
It will be.
It will
I
be,
gave
so
them the
it's-
proper language, and so they know
And
the
they-
reference the Hickby number and the language, and that no construction can occur, in the easement.
Okay, and like a meets and bounds type of description as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah, it's an alignment of distance either side of, and there should be a full description of that easement as created.
I think it was especially important because I didn't go downstream to what David Snow said might have existed in 88. But I know for this one is kind of where he started, at 1341. And so I think it's important to document that while we still have it.
And keep it there.
Exactly.
41 of the PDF, page 33.
Okay.
Document in this survey results.
Yeah.
So thank you, Donna. We will have a motion.
Mr. Chair, in case 2025-10-818, ARC Ron Winters for Rosemary Powell at 1329 and 1341 Canyon Road. I move that we conditionally approve the inventory report subject to City of HPD, City of Santa Fe HPD receiving documentation of the property, both preservation easement. If that's important, without it, we would have to do something else about it. Or, but anyway, that's what, so
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you next time.
Next is, and Annie Joy, contacting,
Yes, he is,
Yes.
he is pending on Zoom and,
he understands we're now waiting to the end.
yes.
Case number 2025-819, Bar Engineering Company, agent for the city of Santa Fe Water Division, applicant requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for the installation of approximately 4,318 feet of subsurface water main pipe along Garcia Street and Camino del Monte Sol in the River and Trails and Suburban Archaeological Review District. Thank you for your staff report. Paul, anything to add?
No, Chair, thank you.
So I have a Matt Lant. Please unmute yourself. Or anybody, okay. Hi, Matt. Please raise your right hand
Hello?
and state your, Matt,
Yeah, I'm here.
can you, okay, can you please raise your
Can
right
you hear me?
hand and state your name just for the record?
Yeah, Matthew Lance, address 320 Osuna Road Northeast, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 87107.
Matt, do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item is the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
He has been sworn, Chair.
Thank
I
you,
do.
Matt. You
You
have
sworn?
the floor. You can add something you need, feel you need to your packet, or we'll just start with member comment.
Hello, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir. Do you have anything to add to your submittal?
We've lost him, Chair.
No.
Maybe he went out of range, but, would you like to give him a moment, or would you like to, move on to the next one?
We're talking about following the bouncing ball.
Yeah. Much easier when they're just here.
Yeah, and he's waited.
Yeah.
Let's go to Mr. Unruh, and then I'll come back to Matt.
Okay, so this one is,
Here.
oh, wait. Hold
There
on.
now.
No? He's back.
Hi, Matt, can you unmute yourself, please?
It was muted as kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Matt, may you unmute, please? Can you hear us?
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, all.
Welcome back. You have already been sworn.
Okay, is there anything you need to add to your submission?
No, I don't dare before the call drops. Thank you all.
Then we will quickly move to member comment and question. Member Trees.
I like the, your drawings I'm looking at, but I also don't understand completely, what I'm looking at, I guess. Is part of this work the loop, at the top of the drawing, or is it just your maps show just straight lines, but P&Ms show more of this prairie dog loop, and I don't know whether that's part of what we're looking at or not. Maybe that's just the end.
I believe that's just the end, though, on a lot of those engineering drawings. I'm going to actually have to refer you to Paul.
Chair, thank you, Mr. Chair Ack, Member Treese. So where you see on these water lines where they end, usually tie off to a pressure valve or a fire hydrant.
I'm sorry. I had the wrong map.
Oh, Okay,
Either on that.
even better.
We're back to Garcia Street and I'd already switched over to to PNM.
Oh, yes.
So, no, I don't have any problem. I don't have any questions regarding, I'm very familiar with Garcia and Montesol.
Thank you.
I guess, the description, on Garcia Street, we're using 8-inch at 4 feet deep. And on Montesol, we're using 12-inch at 5 feet deep. Is that right?
Jerry, I could remember trees tentative. So
10-inch at 5 feet deep.
Tentatively,
Oh,
tentatively, given the location on Camino de Montesol and Camino Ranchitos, El Camino, that whole little,
Yeah,
that whole little historic district is all granitic rock below grade. So I'd be impressed if they can get by.
yeah.
And I've monitored about 8,000 feet of water main on those streets. So possibly I could see 4 feet. It's a lot of granitic cobbles, and just the landscape doesn't allow for very deep.
Yeah.
But I'm sure their crews will do the best to get that because they need it for the pressure.
Start chipping away granite.
Yes,
for
sir.
water.
Yes, sir.
But will the water line change if you can't go that deep, or will it stay the same?
I believe for the engineering for the valve and the pressure valves that they have there, they need
have
to
the
meet
big-
that
bigger-
8 and 12 inch. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
So-
That's all.
Okay. Member Pierce.
I just have one editorial comment. This is on page 16. Section 3.2, previously documented resources. The first sentence says that there are 62 documented resources within the project area, or within a distance of the project area. And then it goes on to say that none of the archaeological sites is standard at current project area. Well, they're not archaeological sites, so the word resources would be better there. It's something like 40 archaeological sites and a few SR properties and a few at Hickley that add up to that total of 64. That's all.
No, I appreciate the comment.
Or 62.
Chair Eck, first of the board, I have Stephen Gilbert has his hand raised to add something
Go ahead.
to the conversation.
I just wanted to add to the previous question about the depth of the water mains. Stephen Gilbert, I work for the water division. The last time that we did a project around the corner on Sosaya, which intersects with Camino de Montesol, we encountered the granite that Paul referenced, and we actually used a giant hammer on the end of our excavation machines, like a giant jackhammer that goes on the end of the excavation machine, and we did place the water line at 4 feet. So even given that there was rock there, we did place the line at 4 feet around the corner. So I would imagine we do the same thing this time.
Okay, so a track hole with a chipper, something
Yep.
that big or?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
You're done. Number one.
No comment.
Thank you, Member Bechtel.
I have a question of why you included this graph of the construction dates of the 41 properties adjacent to the project area. Since it's in the road. I'm just kind of curious where you were going with that.
It's just a matter of being thorough. I think at some level, some of that is just, we had the data, so we thought we'd show the data. So let folks know that we are paying attention to things that might reach out into the road. We absolutely recognize that the goal is to stay in the road when replacing the water line.
Oh, okay, thank you. Awesome.
All right. Had no comment until right then. Then I would offer that the amount of vibration generated by the device that you described could be of some serious concern to the Lambert's House, White Stable, and John Gomm Ames Architecture Office. If vibration propagates laterally, I'd hate to see important structures shaken apart.
Chairman Eck, if I may. The last time when we worked around the corner on Sasaya and used the hammer I described, we also employed a company to monitor the vibration to be sure that the vibration was not impacting the adobe walls down Sasaya Street. And we would probably do the same thing again, given if that was needed.
Cool. No concerns. We can have a motion.
Where are we, Garcia Street? Mr. Chair, in case 5-10-819 ARC Bar Engineering for the City of Santa Fe Water Division, I move we approve the archaeological monument.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Stephen. Now, the patient,
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Lant, are you still there?
Oh,
No.
Mr. Unruh.
Excuse me, Mr. Unruh, are you still there?
Hi, Mr. Unruh, if you could please unmute your phone. Thank you.
Hi,
I'm
can you
gonna
hear
go
me?
ahead and- Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and swear you in really quickly. Please raise your right hand, state your name and address for the record.
David Unruh, 4917 Calle de Tierra Northeast, Albuquerque.
Do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you have in reference to this item shall be the truth and nothing but the truth, and do this under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you, Chair. He has been sworn.
Thank you. You have the floor. Is there anything you need to add to your submittal for our consideration?
No, there's nothing I'd like to add at this point.
All right. Number one. Member Bechtel.
No comments.
Member Trees.
No, I'm fine.
Member Pierce.
Yeah, I do have one question. And it's something that shows up on the topo map. Doesn't really matter which one, but I'm looking at figure 14. And right across the road from the north end of your alignment, there's a sort of a marked off square area with the letter CEM, which I take to mean cemetery. I don't see cemetery mentioned anywhere in that report. What can you tell us about that cemetery? Is it new? Is it old? What's the risk of bodies outside the fence?
Okay, I'm trying to find this in the file here. Okay. You say figure 14?
Yeah, that's one place. Yeah, anywhere where you see a USGS topo.
Hold on one sec. Sorry, just trying to find that figure there. Yeah, I didn't think that that cemetery was particularly close. Hi, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing right now. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I'm not hearing anything. I'm just hearing some static.
Of interments, but linear arrays of monuments and the disturbed soil speak to the presence of buried people. So we just wanted to call your attention to the existence of that thing and make sure that all activities that are anywhere near that cemetery, i.e. the north few hundred feet of your project area, receive very careful scrutiny, because you may be faced with a discovery that we don't want to have.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Most of the people buried there are recent, but there's some as early, at least the 1930s, 1920s, the end date, shall I say.
So we're unsure when it started. We have evidence of people 1920s vintage for documented gravestones, and more recent.
Yeah, what I could see, there were 3 interments recently, so.
Okay, so you think there may be a possibility that there might be plots that would be outside of that? It looks like there's kind of a squared off area for that cemetery.
Yes, the cemetery itself is well defined and has been for quite a number of years. It's the extracurricular interments that go on outside of established cemeteries by people who may or may not want to pay the fee or be acknowledged or otherwise be bothered. They find a convenient nearby spot and poof, there's a new interment. So it's the surprise factor that we're trying to avoid.
Of course, yeah. Okay, is there something in the plan that you would like to be revised to address that?
No, I don't think so. You already have a comment of, what to do in case of discovery of human remains, so that's probably okay. Just be sure that you have qualified personnel on site. I mean, I know there are permit requirements, but this is a higher likelihood of human remains, so having somebody on site that can identify them quickly would certainly be to your benefit.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. We do have multiple people on the unmarked human burial permit, so and we also have people that cross over between that and the Santa Fe ARC approved list, so we can definitely make that happen.
Very good. I think that alleviates concern. Committee members, any other comments, questions? Motion?
Item G.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chair, I move that in case 2025-10-816 ARC physical research for PNM that we approve the archaeological monitoring plan as submitted.
I second that.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much for your patience, persistence, and we're sorry about the technical difficulties.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sorry to contribute to those.
Bye.
Thank you, David.
We will now move on to administrative matters and communications. Paul, you have something to present?
Direct members of the ARC, we're presenting an archaeological monitoring plan template for your review and consideration and your comments and revisions and your thoughts. I know at the last hearing, there were some thoughts about creating a monitoring plan template. And we've made a couple of templates with the CV and I know we get a wide range of plans. So, some of these plans upwards of 200 pages, and maybe we can refine that and get to what information you need for your review.
Okay. Committee, it's free for all. Questions, comments?
It seems like a good start. One thing I would definitely like to see added into the final would be some sort of standardization of drawing profiles of trenches, right? That there has to be so many per X number of feet of trench, that kind of thing. Because often we only get one and it's not in a very particularly useful place. If it's 1,000-foot trench, we need more than one, we need several.
Would you consider 100 feet a 2-meter profile, or as soils change?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Probably more.
If soil changes are observed, there definitely needs to be documentation of that. And in which case, the optimum place to do the profile is right at the point of change and some distance either side of that. But as a rule of thumb, you're going towards some specified length, needing X number of profiles.
Yes, Chair. And Chair, the reason why I say this is for every five pieces of pipe, I would draw a profile. And at the water division, every pipe is 20 feet. So you're putting in, for every 5 pieces of pipe, you're putting in a profile. And then with utilities or whatever you're encountering, you're drawing a profile, photographing. Every change, you're trying to capture that on the street. Can be limited sometimes not. But a rudimentary, right? So it's systematic. Every 100 feet, you're gonna draw, we need a profile on top of when soils change. So something that keeps them accountable regardless. So they know after 5 feet, after 5 pipes fixed, they're gonna be putting a profile in regardless. Creating that consistency, I would think. But that was my thought.
I like the idea of a minimum, I don't know about 100 feet, that's a lot if you're talking, 4,000 feet of trench.
40 profiles.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are some places where there's not going to be an appreciable change in the profile for 4,000 feet. It's gonna be the same.
Garcia Street.
Rock is rock is rock.
Yeah.
But that's good. We'll put that profile section in here.
Yeah, we may need to fine tune it, the actual requirement, but the idea of having a minimum. You must do at least so many, whatever so many means.
For instance, if it's a straight trench and there's no change, I would think a number of profiles should be pretty small. But if it's a complex trench and the chance of changing how you're intersecting the landform varies with the alignment of the trench, might want to think about one for every alignment. I just suggest that you devote some thought to how to specify what's minimally acceptable.
And what is it that you want to see? Because this is for your review. We're just gonna share this when the applicants are coming and applying for a monitoring plan. We'll share this basic information, just fill in the blanks kind of to get you the information you need to determine and give approval for plans moving forward.
I like having personnel listed every time.
Personnel.
It's just that they have to explicitly say, we will use a permitted person for this.
I would greatly appreciate if all of the standard language, say the discussion of the ordinance sections that require the monitoring.
Okay.
Be spelled out in a paragraph that is written by you or some contractor you choose, whichever, so that it's consistent and that the new person faced with a template has the references to the ordinances that they must read so they know what they're supposed to do, instead of just letting somebody figure it out.
That's great.
And that way, we're all prompted to look at the right document for the right reasons. Same thing with language referring to what happens when you hit human remain. Chapter and verse. City, etc.
Yeah,
how to proceed.
Every consultant writes up something and they all have exactly the same stuff, but they just say it.
They say it there.
Right? Because it's all based on regulations, so let's just say it once.
Once in a comprehensive way and let it go at that. Same thing for any discovery. If buried cultural materials are found, you don't just draw a profile and keep going. You gotta kind of stop and let y'all know so that maybe we have to opine about how important it is and what's appropriate. Because blow and go, all we'll get is what's in the report, and it's maybe not what we would have asked for. So, stepwise, what to do when you discover something. There are some people who put in a very good description of if we encounter X, we deal this way. If we encounter Y, we'll stop within that area and consult with you all and HPD New Mexico if it's necessary before proceeding.
We've had a few cases too where they had to trench to a depth where OSHA requirements required stepping. So I would probably put something in there that OSHA, you know, when you exceed a certain depth, you must do this. Unless if, you know, somehow the physical environment constrains you doing that, gotta come to the ARC to get some sort of exemption to that requirement. Right, or pre-approval to deviate from the plan.
You're saying this to make sure that they go as deep as they need to go and not use the
Not
OSHA
just give up
requirements
yeah.
as an excuse.
Right, yeah, we went down to OSHA requirements and we stopped because we didn't want to.
And somebody
that's
had,
right.
yeah, somebody had
Right.
said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially when OSHA, people's readings of OSHA requirements may be a little higher than some other. people.
Well, and you know, as we saw in our last field trip, you know, OSHA goes about here and some of the cultural deposits we're talking that store downtown. Way over my head, right? So. Yeah, it's not okay to just stop at 3.5 feet or whatever OSHA says and end it, you know, you gotta keep going until.
So yeah, language about OSHA and not deviating without consultation with staff and ARC as necessary from an approved plan. I mean, trench boxes are great if the company's big enough that they have them. But I've never, ever seen a trench box in a NRCS soil sample excavation. And sometimes they're 40 feet deep. Dirt wall. Yikes. So.
Are you okay with the removal of the cultural history? Because I didn't put a cultural history in here. I only requested that the NIMCRIS information be put inside. Is that
I
something?
object to not having it.
Okay.
I think it's extremely important.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
It's the only part that I read.
And the reason being is because we see everybody has the same one, just written differently. And so.
I hear you, and really, it's cultural history is usually done on 2 levels, right? There's the kind of citywide overview, which you're right, it's exactly the same every time.
It's the same.
But
and it's-
then the good ones, at the end of that discussion, will have a very focused, narrow investigation.
Right.
That needs to stay.
And that's what we want. We want the focused work within that 500-meter buffer boundary.
Yeah, you limit it to a neighborhood, not the entire
Right.
city of Santa.
And right now, we're getting the entire northern New Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Not all members have access to NIMCRIS. Right? Cause you.
Yeah, I don't have
like,
NIMCRIS.
these don't have, so.
Oh, all
They're
city
not-
staff does not have access to NIMCRIS. Only I have.
And not all members of the board do. Right.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so the Hannaford thing was extremely interesting today, but I would have no idea that would.
It's, you can really learn a lot if you actually turn the page. And sometimes that means making a physical trip up there and begging to have access to go play in the paper, because it's not all digital.
Bridget will upload it for you, so.
Yes.
we could, but yeah, I mean, for instance, most of the reports that we see from Ron Winters, you know, he does have that part, which is a cookie cutter, but
Yeah.
when it gets down to the local, you know,
Mhm.
neighborhood or even street level, it's very good about providing the details that matter for this case, you know, for that particular case. So
How
I
about,
would not want to see that go.
how about a HCPI form? For all our board hearings, we need to provide a HCPI form for every structure that we present before the board. Is that something you would consider if there's HCPIs within the streetscape?
I believe it's within 20 feet is usual, that's what DOT, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's what they've come up with, is that if it's within 20 feet, and I can't remember if it's the right way or if it's the actual project.
I think it's-
Although usually with the DOT,
Still right.
it's the full right away, so.
Because they're so used to dealing with the world between
Yeah.
two fences.
Yeah.
This is our right of way. And we are supposed to be concerned about these other things, but no further than 20 feet. It
That's a tough one because not,
could be a lot of documentation in one project.
and a lot of archaeologists are actually not qualified to fill out a HIGB form. Like, I mean, that's just.
You're asking if we should get them or if
No,
they're gonna fill
well-
them out?
You know, if they're coming across areas, so let's say for the Sosia Lane, all those homes are historic. They're all built in the 1900s. So we require an HCPI form for every property, every structure within that streetscape. Now, on the archaeology side of things, these water mains or service lines, or if they're going to impact these adobe structures, is that something the ARC may want to see?
If it's actually gonna affect the structure, yeah, probably. But
Okay.
Yeah.
what is more likely is when you say HCPI, you're talking about a SACIA, right? I mean, those are also recorded on the
Right.
HIGB form and
Right.
with the kind of things that we deal with, much more likely to be impacted by the
Okay.
project.
That's great.
So we have a list of the significant things next door, but we don't need to see the actual.
Much of the detail.
Right, but the acequias, that's great,
Yeah.
right? So then
Acequias
staff
and
can
trail.
Well, we would.
Other things that are documented on HCBIs that are not necessarily somebody's house.
Landscapes.
Landscapes.
Historic fences have been.
We have a
put
bunch
on
of those.
HCBI.
Yeah, we had one or something.
Okay, these are good considerations for staff to put into this template. This will be an ongoing consideration until we just hone down on this. Thank you.
And then find a guinea pig to try it.
Well, oh, no, that'll be us. That'll be Stephen and me. Yeah. I do need to share with you, members of the ARC. We'll start with funding for the archaeological team. We did receive $10,000 for the funding of that. So we are going to be able to support an archaeological team moving forward here in the next few months, with the possible for future growth. In Easy Fiber. So we had an Easy Fiber meeting on Friday afternoon. And these guys are super advantageous and they want to hit the ground running. But they need to follow all city street codes, all archaeological codes and so forth moving forward.
Do you mean aggressive?
Yeah.
Super aggressive, right?
Okay.
And so on Friday afternoon, we left the meeting at 5 PM and then Monday morning at 10 AM, we had an ARC, we had a meeting with Easy Fiber on directions moving forward to get their permits on private property. So there's a lot of questions that we need to work with Public Works on easements, what allows franchise agreements. There's a lot of consideration we need to take. But I did ask if Chair could be part of the conversations moving forward, and they were excited, to say the least. They wanted somebody with considerations to help them move forward and just a thoughtful conversation. Now, I leave that to the pleasure of the ARC and to you, Chair Eck, if you want to participate in these conversations, but they would like to have good insight, good guidance, and they'll do block by block, whatever is requested by the ARC, they will do. Now, how that all fits and how that all works and how that Amanda and I have been working with them, I don't know. It may be brought, but we'll figure something out.
Right.
Chair, you have that ability if you want that.
I have the invitation.
Yes, sir.
I would like to also just speak on behalf of staff as well, and as far as how much directive that you can give as one member of the board and not of the full board is concerning to me. Not that you're gonna, for quorum purposes, on how much that you would be allowed to give advice to where they are not coming to get this board and coming to you guys as a whole. So
they're
My-
doing this in lieu of coming to the board?
Oh,
So,
no, ma'am.
that's my question.
Oh.
Where is the line where it's, the quorum is met, or what role would Chair Eck be playing in these meetings, and what are you gonna be meeting about exactly?
You know, given Chair X's experience and time and review, I believe, and all you ARC members, it would be, we need your expertise working with these guys. They're gonna get the permit. They're gonna get it. Now, how do we guide it? And we get the opportunity to work together to guide them to do things correctly. Now, when will they get it? I don't know, but there's a lot of people supporting it.
So, there's just a couple of points I'd like to make.
Please.
First of all, I think it might be helpful to Chair Eck that he know exactly what kind of commitment you're requesting, because as I understand it, they're gonna be going throughout the city, and that's a lot of area. On the flip side, I would say that City of Albuquerque has had a lot of problems with Easy Fiber, and it's been really bad what they've done there, and they've been stopped by the city, and there's been a code enforcement issue. Property owners are all upset as well, so we do need to watch them closely.
And
On
we
the other
had, the last time they came before the board, they were recommended to come back before the board with more information. So
They're not ready for that, but they are open to having the Archaeological Review Committee or a committee member help them or guide them, or they have a laundry list of questions I can't answer, and what's best for the city. Overall, what's best for the city and the cultural resources in the city. So they would like an ARC member, Chair Eck, if you're available, or any ARC member who would like to attend.
Maybe what we can do
today.
is more clearly define like what the need is, because it's a little unclear whether we need to have like a little subcommittee of the ARC helping out, like we do with the historic board, or it just seems to me what that means. I don't want Chair Eck to feel like he's being forced to be a consultant on their behalf.
No.
So, that's.
Well, I was just about to say that depending on what their expectations are and where the conversations go, I may have to say very early on that I can't answer your question, because if I do, I will have to recuse myself from all consideration of any case you ever bring to this.
Mhm.
And if you wanna risk that for quorum purposes, don't do that.
Yeah, no,
And they already have an archaeologist that presented the case before, too.
right. And in the last several meetings, he hasn't been present. So I don't know.
Well, on the other
It's
side of
a-
the coin, though, we just heard that the HDRB assigned an ad hoc subcommittee to help guide the design of the project for the Shelby Bridge, so it's not so different if a couple of us do the same thing.
The difference is that they have a specific thing. HDRB said, we expect this, and the subcommittee's duty is to see whether or not they do that. All they'll do is report, they did it, or they didn't do it. They're not gonna make any independent decisions. It's just a matter of,
And maybe the ARC can hold them to the fire, like make them come to the ARC for approval block by block. Or however that turns out.
You know,
I don't know.
We're talking about a project that touches almost every street in Santa Fe, right?
And
It is the
property.
biggest thing we are gonna ever deal with in this committee. So if that means holding a special meeting on an off Thursday dedicated just to that, fine. I'm willing to do that, just to set some ground rules. That way we're doing it with a quorum officially, as opposed to semi-officially, like what we've been talking about. So,
And maybe
Yeah.
that's the way we move forward with Easy Fiber, is to come in and give us a monthly status, or.
It sounds like they want us to design their program for them. That's where my mind goes, is.
I believe they're worried, they don't want what happened in Albuquerque to happen here, and here is gonna be 10 times more magnified than Albuquerque. And so they brought in a whole different group than what they had initially brought here. So it's a whole different group out of Houston, Texas. And so understanding how, if this is the direction the city's moving and they've got the funding or the private funding or whoever's paying for it, and the city and all the counselors are in support of this, it's going to happen. But how do we make sure that it happens in a thoughtful manner?
Yeah. Well, I think we do probably need to somehow make our expectations clear to them, right? So that they can build a plan that meets those, rather than coming to us with something that doesn't, we'll kick it back and, you know,
Right.
just keep spinning.
How could the city, I guess, one of my developer friends, small-time developer, said Easy Fiber came to him and said, we want to use your utility trenches within our fiber. Can we do that? And he said, I don't know why not, on his development. So how could city utilities or PNM or anybody like that, how could they, is there any possibility they could piggyback on another project?
It's a liability, I think, putting in a fiber optic.
And it's too opportunistic too. You'd have to wait for just the right project in some area, you know.
Cause I thought there had to be a certain distance between each.
There does,
utility, right?
but
Water, sewer,
Yeah.
power.
yeah, there does, but you know, if they're willing to do that, I mean, you know, they're not putting their fiber real deep.
No, a foot. They're
Yeah.
going a foot. They're putting a fiber optic.
Well, yeah, I don't want to get into too many details because that's what we're supposed to do in whatever
Right.
future meeting or whatever, but the big one for me, the huge red flag the first time that it came before us was that there was no effort to identify where their alignments crossed no sites. So that's a minimum, right? That they have to plot where all these alignments are and overlay, as imperfect as they are, all of the site boundaries for the city of Santa Fe. And where they are clearly within a known site, they should avoid doing full pits, sort of excavations if at all possible.
And that's the archaeologist, right?
I mean, we swallowed the fiction that, you know, the actual bore itself underground doesn't do any damage. Okay, we're never gonna be able to see it, so, you know, okay, but those pulpits and, you know, those surface excavations, they do damage, and how do we make sure that one of them isn't in the middle of LA2? Right? So, or any significant site in the city of Santa Fe, so at the very least, their archaeologist needs to do a much more extensive literature review and be able to anticipate for any given segment that, hey, this is crossing site here. You know, I need to either guide them towards not digging there or be extra careful in monitoring when I am. So, there are many other concerns, but that was by far the biggest for me.
And if they come up with a plan, then they can come and ask this board to do a subcommittee to follow out that such plan.
And then we have another question for an ARC member. We're creating the Dos Acequias signage. Well, we're working with the community members. Tomorrow's our first meeting. Richard Martinez that came here, Eladio Romero, John Eddy, and several other concerned members. They're coming tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. here to discuss signage and rehabilitation of the Acequia Medio. We talked to Pulte, we talked to Cody Walton, their project director, and they're going to support that. And as much as the signage and so forth for the Acequia. I'm working with one of our terrain escarpment staff members who understands the biology of the riparian area where that Acequia was. And so I'll be working with her, but really we want to facilitate this for the community members. And we wanted to ask if an ARC member would like to participate in that discussion with the community members and staff on the signage. If that's something the ARC would consider, or if that's all right, staff can move forward with the community members. But we just wanted to offer that out to you if you would like to work with community members and staff in creating signage for the Acequia.
I don't know that I'm all that thrilled about signage. And since it's acequias, I think the experts are the people you've already identified.
Okay.
You know, just for instance, if it were me, I'd just be another loose cannon rolling around on the deck. I mean.
Okay.
I'd want to make sign their pollen.
I know. That's awful.
So we're trying our best, right?
Yeah.
The city is doing, we're trying our best to serve the community members.
Yeah.
And we want to give them the best resources available and no better than you guys. So we thought we'd ask.
They could change it. No, I think.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
That's right.
Used to be, I was to say, just change the name of the.
Yeah.
More
I
relevant.
never thought of this.
So I haven't been there. I keep meaning to drive down there.
Don't go there.
So
Don't do it.
Well, no, I know. The boys went to Mandela, so
Oh, yeah.
we did a lot of,
Yeah.
but Bodie and his little the night adventures on e-bikes, I don't even want to know about. So that a large majority of Mandela is torn down now.
Really?
That's what he told me. I have not been out there. I keep saying I need to go out there,
We're gonna go tomorrow.
but part of that acequia
Crosses Mandela.
Yeah,
Yes.
Still intact.
underneath the road. It was.
Depends on what they're plowing up at Mandela.
Are they doing work on Mandela?
There were plans in the works all along that, because I keep trying to find information, because I thought part of that building was historic and was not allowed to be torn down. And like, I keep asking Bodie, 14-year-old, okay, what parts are there? It's like, I don't know, Mom, there's nothing left. I was like, there's gotta be something left. He's like, well, there's some stuff there, the gym is there. So, you know, this is coming from a 14-year-old, but I was like, should probably say something to somebody.
Wow.
We'll be out there tomorrow.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, and
Like I said,
the problem is
I'm going off a 14-year-old, but.
the schools do everything through CID. And so oftentimes we won't get notified unless it has to do with utilities or something. So, and we have more capacity to have impact inside the historic districts, but you may have seen in the paper as of recent, we've stopped giving the state water when they're not willing to comply with the ordinance. And
I didn't see that.
prevailed in court. So you can go ahead and build however you want to build, but we're not giving you any water. And so, and what was discovered at that one particular thing was that the fire trucks could not access the site because of the solar canopies that they had built. So it was good that we got involved. So.
It looks like our technology's about to go offline while we're still in the middle of meetings.
Oh, Amanda? TV will turn off automatically. Well, then, yeah, that's fine. I guess that's, we can go ahead and finish if we're all finished.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I do have one matter from the committee.
Oh, okay.
I know, at least a couple of proponents tonight were concerned about the next meeting, whether we'd have a quorum. Fortunately, I don't think I'll be able to make the next meeting. I have a medical procedure the next day. I won't say it out loud, but it's the one that requires drinking a whole lot of fresh water.
Oh, you poor
And,
thing.
you know, so I don't think I want to do that. So, if anybody else is missing, then yeah, quorum is definitely a concern.
Does anybody else know if they will be here for August? Everybody else is here? We should have quorum.
Or is it?
But we'll double check.
Yeah.
And we hope everything goes well.
Just in case. And well wishes to you, Member Pierce.
Oh, thank you.
Complete sidebar to
It's
the
very
earlier
early.
discussion. Perhaps, Easy Fiber. How many people have received mail from Easy Fiber?
Like every week.
They are
Very aggressive.
Cart before the horse on this one. And
Yeah.
I've been there. And we'll see it throughout the process. We'll put it that way.
Jessica's,
They're gonna be
like, and like
blocking
knocking
their
on
route.
her door.
Rude property.
But, so, I'm working with Public Works right now on figuring out how they gotta put a fiber optic box in everybody's private property. How are they gonna get approval for that in an easement?
Yeah.
And it's not gonna happen, so I don't understand how they're gonna get approval for this project. If they have to put fiber optic in everybody's private property.
Well, they can put it in the utility easement
Mhm.
on the private property. As
Yeah,
long as they have the permit from the city to put it in.
and
the
that's a
utility
franchise
easement.
agreement,
Yeah.
and so that's a whole that's what we're trying to establish right now.
I just,
It's an interesting case, trust me.
so, do you know, are they talking about doing this mostly by boring?
Well, hand digging on all private property with hand tools. And boring in the right of way. Generally, but not
On
meaning.
the road rights of way,
Right, city
not
roads,
city utility rights of way.
correct.
Cause
Are you sure about that?
I'm not,
there's a utility easement that eats at 5 feet of the backside of
and
properties in our neighborhood. And if they go through and dig a trench by hand in that 5-foot easement, I wanna know about it.
well, see, these kind of questions that come up, I mean, I may not be have some of these questions or answers to or thoughts to consider, right? And right now, what you're asking and which you would be great to share that information with city staff and whether it be Sean Moody or Fred Mathlier or other city staff members, so we would understand some things to consider, questions to ask, because some of this is
Yeah, some of it gets into the realm of, infrastructure planning and all of that sort of stuff. Why don't you invite me to the next meeting? Maybe I can identify the resources, when it comes to easements and, what will be impacted, who will be involved and all of that. And then we can report back to the committee. But certainly I don't want to dissuade anybody from being our technical expertise, when it comes to all matters archaeological, but I'd be happy to step in and attend a couple of meetings.
If they just need a 3-inch wide, foot deep trench, I almost wanna dig it for them. Just so they don't screw anything up.
Which is going to do.
Well, if they go in the utility easement behind my house, they may actually knock over my fence, and then I can get under like.
There we go.
They say they'll repair all damage. Blah, blah, blah.
But it will be to new standards now.
Well,
I think they are now.
They built this in other places?
Albuquerque.
No, other than, have they
Yes,
been
ma'am.
successful anywhere?
I don't live in Houston.
They're bigger.
They're big
nationwide,
Texas.
as far as I
They
understand,
are.
yeah.
And they bought all of Conterra's fiber optics. So whatever Conterra installed, and I remember OAS monitored and surveyed all of Conterra's work. And they bought their contract out. They bought Conterra out, so they own all their fiber optic now.
I think it's point, this is not the first fiber optic project that we've seen, it's certainly bigger in scale, but there have been others. And some of the methodology from those might be useful here.
Yeah.
And they're proposing aerial and subsurface underground. So downtown area, they're thinking that may be the best approach. Other areas are thinking subsurface.
just take one look at my neighborhood. I can't imagine anybody wanting to go underground. Because there's like 16 property boundary walls they have to go under. They have to dig across all those lots. When they could shinny up the pole, try not to disturb the cable TV. And they'd have it
Maybe that's the way to go.
in a day's,
Mm-hmm.
an easy day's work. but they'd be there 2 weeks digging all that crap by hand.
I mean, that's the consideration, sharing that.
And then draping fiber from that supply line to the structures. Cause you bring up a box in somebody's backyard and say, oh, great, you've got fiber, what you do with it is your problem. Well, it's useless.
Right.
Until it's connected.
Right.
Does it have to be a conduit?
It's in like a
It's
PVC.
encased?
It's encased.
Yeah.
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 If it's buried, it's gotta be encased. But unless they take the conduit all the way to your house, it has to come up and go aerial eventually anyway, so
Right.
why even bother? Just bring it down the line under the cable TV, if it's under the power. And if the lightning hits, it all goes out.
So they've only done work in Washington, state, so Kent, Des Moines, that Seattle area, and Houston, and then Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. So I'm not sure about the breadth of their experience when it comes to archaeology.
Oh, very limited.
So, and I certainly think that they need to, take into consideration what the board asked them for the first time and come back with something.
Oh, yeah.
And then a subcommittee be made to move forward with it. Because, you know, it would be, it's great to have one person's opinion, but that's the whole purpose of the ARC, to get everybody's opinion and to move forward.
Right.
Would you consider a subcommittee?
Or a special meeting if we needed to do that.
In a special meeting, it
Once
doesn't have
once
to
a
be.
quarter,
Mhm.
just have another ARC meeting dedicated to.
Then that would be fine too, but they need to come back with what the board asked them to do, or the committee asked them to do in the first place.
But
But to answer your question about, additional or special meetings, not looking forward to it, but given the scope of the project, I don't see that we have a choice, but then we just head on, right? I mean, otherwise, they're just gonna be bringing plans to us we don't like and we'll reject it and they'll bring it back next time, we'll reject it again and, never get off that treadmill.
And they do have the data for exactly where they wanna put the lines, exactly what streets, they have that all pinpointed. There's no reason why they can't provide that documentation to you for review.
Just to clarify, the August meeting is the 21st or the 28th?
The 28th.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Let me double check that. I've said it 3 times today. Yes, that is the 28th.
I just wanted to make sure.
That is correct.
Wait, where'd it go?
I'm gonna start bringing battery back up if these meetings go on.
I know, there's been a lot of cases. So, I just like to, take my hat off to Paul because he's really trying to standardize a lot of things, just like try the reviews of the experience. There has been some grumbling in the community about that. And so, people don't like to reformat things and they, it's been, disturbing. Like, okay, yeah, we can change processes here and there at the city so that we can make our boards and commissions have an easier go at reviewing things. So nothing's going to stay the same 100% of the time. So, and we're really trying to make improvements area wide so that planning and land use is a better beast than it is right now. So, but anyway, I just wanted to let you know that we're doing that. And if you hear something, let us know so that we can reach out to them and all that sort of stuff.
I have some sympathy, but in the case of the experience chart, yes, it may be a pain to transcribe it from something you have already prepared for the BLM and the Paul's format. But if you use Paul's, you got a much better chance of getting it passed than if you just throw together something we have to figure it out.
Peck through it. And I mean, really, the state one is different than the BLM one anyway, so if you're permitted in both places, you've already done it. That's fine. Maybe a couple times, yeah.
And the ARC application, we're revising it. I got a different ARC application from every applicant. And it's just like, we use that to create these case captions. And so now I got a revised application this morning. Hey, and so we had to change. So we're doing the best we can, but we can only input what we're getting from the applicant. And we're trying, and then some of the applicants, they were like, take it or leave it, you know? And it's like, well, we gotta serve our community, so we'll take it, right? But we're taking it all day long from everybody.
I'm gonna be sending an email out to the community tomorrow, letting them know if it's not filled out completely, then we are not taking it. Then they can go to another board. And if, you know, to get an application after we've already noticed and stuff and changes, like we had to make changes to this particular one, or people aren't showing up when they're supposed to, that stuff's not.
That wastes
yeah,
your time.
How they, a waste of, you know, stuff time. You shouldn't have to be calling applicants to be like, oh, hey, our hearing's tonight, you know, or whatever. So, yeah, we'll reach out to the community and that should help you in your details of the work that you have to do instead of, you know.
And also
chasing.
just to go with that, every applicant here, we respond to them when we review their applicant. Hey guys, you need to put this, and this in here. And otherwise, you know, and we get a lot of pushback. And it's like, okay, you know, let's move.
But anyway, we're trying to make it, the goal here is to make these reports understandable and easier for you to, because as I was looking through today's submissions, there was a lot of variety. So we need to make sure that they do what needs to be done. So, yeah, so we appreciate your patience while we're trying to make these improvements.
I appreciate the effort. It's good when things are predictable and like where a document should look for that.
Right.
But when you don't know that, you spend so much more time trying to find it out.
Right.
Sounds like, did I just miss it? Or is it really not there?
So that's all we have for staff communications. If you want to go on to item 9.
Matters from the committee?
I jumped down the line, so.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to say, along with what Gayla added, with regard to the standardization of the report. I like the history too. Everyone is sort of the same, but everybody puts a little something different in, and, you know, I learn something every time I read those things. I mean, yeah, I can skim a lot, but then I go, wait a minute, what was that? You know, so it's really helpful. I mean, I've learned a lot about Santa Fe just in the last year. Wow. And so I really appreciate that stuff. I get a little tired of reading about badgers that I haven't seen in Santa Fe for a while. Maybe I will see a badger. Maybe they're out there somewhere.
I've tried not to read those sections in close detail anymore because they're usually completely full of error.
Or so outdated that, yeah, like. The last time something got done was in 1987. It's like, well, no, it's actually on the National Register and,
That's what we need to change, right? We need to update that. Make it more prevalent for today as we're transitioning and we're growing.
I mean, some of it I think is really important, actually, not for us so much as the person who's going out in the field.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like putting it in the content.
Provided they actually read it and think about it.
Like actually understanding what they're looking for.
Yeah.
What may pop out at them.
Oh man, totally. And Robin and Veronica, they were consulting together.
Yeah.
And I really like seeing that. That's like that collaboration. Hey, we found this site. Oh man, we overlooked it. We saw it over here. And now that how the community here is working together, and that's a really good thing to see. And you could see that in the reporting and the writing and discussion. I feel like that's great.
One other item for the monitoring template.
Oh, yes, sir.
Expectations. I don't know if that was in there, I didn't look closely, but.
That's always the,
Yeah, what you actually expect or improbable, you know, for this project.
Okay. And that's key, right? The whole reason why you're doing this.
Yeah. It's not good enough to say that, you know, Santa Fe's sitting on top of historic resources, and we may.
And we might find something.
Yeah, who knows, it's usually about all we get.
That line went on out there, it's time for me to go.
If no other matters from the committee, just a reminder that, yes, indeed, it's the 28th of August is the next meeting, and now item 11 on the agenda.
Move. We adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say